Welcome, everybody, to Justice Served Daily. We appreciate you being here. And today we have the gang all here from my wonderful, wonderful justice researchers. So we've got Mama Bear. Hello.
Hi.
And we have Paige.
Hi guys.
Wow,
How are
that was
you?
spooky. It was like a door noise. Whoa.
I know. I like that little squeak.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was scary. That goes with my music. That's spooky, Paige. And
Sorry.
and Miss Kelt is here.
Hey, was anyone else playing air violin right then?
Yeah. There
Yeah?
you go.
I
There you
love
go.
the music.
I do. It's very spooky. I like the spooky. So
It is good.
yes, we appreciate you guys all being here, and appreciate your patience of also of me trying to catch up from being out and everything going on. And I will tell you that having this information drop while I was in the hospital, as you can tell by the community post, I posted it as soon as I saw the information. So we are going to go in detail, and we're going to go in the first time with our group reacting to what we read through it, and we're going to go through it with all of you about the emergency motion for Richard Allen. Now, I want to give a little bit of information about this before we dip into it, because I didn't realize it at the time until after I got out. So while I'm sitting in the hospital, I see and I follow a bunch of different news people, obviously, especially in the major news areas in Indianapolis, Indiana. And following those, I have a person, Angela Canute from Fox 59, who I follow quite a bit, along with a bunch of others who are great at news and breaking news and things that come out. So while I was in there, I saw that she posted the information about this motion, emergency motion that was filed, and that she included the copies of the document itself. And so, as you can tell by my community post, I took some screenshots and stuff of that because I'm not able to move that over from Twitter into community on YouTube. I had to take the screenshots and then move that over and drop that all in. So yes, thank you, Angela Ganote, for that information and sharing it out. Well, here's what's interesting to know. What I didn't realize at the time was that this information, this motion for the emergency movement of Richard Allen was not supposed to be released out there. But somehow this information was posted in my case, indiana.gov, right? And you can go there. It's a free site. That's where I go to. You can go anywhere. Anybody can. And you go see and look up your person, and you can find out court cases, pending cases, anything like that. And so when these news agencies did, these major news stations here in the Indianapolis area got word, or somehow knew that it was in there, right? They go to the My Case, they download this document, and they get it. Well, the reason that I know that happened is because later on there were other news stations that tried to go into the My Case, and when they did, it was sealed again. And now, remember that the case itself does have a gag order, right? The Delphi case has a gag order for a reason. And what I find interesting now, let me point this out. If for some reason it gets out there freely, and it legally was on that, legally on the My Case, and you access it and you get that document. That doesn't put you in trouble. That publicly got posted. It publicly is posted. That is somebody else's error. But as everybody knows, isn't it odd that this very high profile case keeps having documents that get leaked out, not by somebody illegally getting the information, but somehow it gets posted in the My Case site that people are getting access to it? I mean, guys, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, this is a pretty big thing that's suddenly gone there.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Yeah. I mean, like you said, there is a gag order in place, so it is very strange to see that happening and appearing on My Case at all.
Absolutely.
Well, and then you have to think about that. So with the gag order, who does this benefit that the information gets out there?
The
I mean,
defense.
I would say it's the defense, right? They're trying to say how deplorable the conditions are where Richard Allen is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, so at the time when I shared that, saw that from Angela Glut, Fox 59, shared that information, took that down from Twitter, moved it over to here, it's just like, oh my God. Right. I mean, so we're going to go and break down through all of this and tell you what we see, what's in there. Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, oh, that sounded like I was sick as a dog. Hey, Justice, when something's posted to My Case on anywhere in there, does it have initials or anything like that of who that was working that posted it? Who is that?
Yeah.
Because if we knew it was the same person, we could begin to understand what motives they are, or if they're just completely incompetent.
Well, it's going to be some type of specific assigned administrative duty for somebody. I'm not sure who that would fall under. I wouldn't think it's a different person. I would think it's the same person who is assigned to be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? But I would think,
that's their job.
Right. I mean, but oh my God. I mean, especially, there's a lot of stuff that is, supposed to remain sealed and stuff like that. And when there's a gag order, you would think you would be extra careful to not release that info. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense,
It hasn't been that long since they announced the gag order either.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And already been broken.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's go ahead and let's shout out real quick to people who we know is already in here. I see Pam and Jinx. Hello, welcome. Hello, Evil CJ Show. And thank you for all being here. Please go check out the Evil CJ Show. He's a chill dude, and he's doing a lot on the Stephen Smith case, which I find very interesting in detail. So Ava, hello, Ava. And make sure I don't miss anybody. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, I think I caught everybody. All right, so I'm going to go to sharing the screen for I can show you, and we can go over this document that got dropped. And let's see here. I'm going to go entire screen, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Not that you want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so good, but we can see it, you know?
Yes. So, all right. So here we go. The emergency.
I like the dog.
I do like the dog.
Cute.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for the dog.
Cute.
Right.
Sorry.
The dog, is the dog saying
the
help
dog
me?
did nothing here.
Yeah.
You know what? They say owners and dogs start to look the same.
Well, the bulgy eyes I see for sure. I see it.
Oh gosh.
All right. Okay.
Especially in the latest picture.
Yeah. So let's go to just the screen. This is what it looks like in my case. This is the last page of it itself. So I just wanted to show you the information there that, remember, they so-called thought that this was going to go to trial in March of this year, which we all knew that wasn't going to happen. It was like, come on, look how long it took
I
for
know.
Keegan Klein's case to finally go, at least to have its pre-trial hearing, which turned into a, confess, or not a confession, but at least a plea change of guilty. And, and then you didn't know, I was like, there's no way. But we can see where that was canceled off here in March. And then you can see where this motion was filed on April 5th. So right now there has not been a response given out by the court. There has been responses from others, and you'll see that when we get into the document. And then you can see right now that the only thing that is set to be scheduled is the June 15th, which was rescheduled, remember, as a bail type hearing, remember? So that was going to be the first case. Although I was surprised they actually listed an amount in this. So we'll talk about that too. So here's the document itself. And as it goes, that the defendant, Richard Allen, by and through his attorney, respectfully requests that the court modify the court order, safety order, okay, that was entered on November 3rd of 2022 in this case. So I want to point that right at the very beginning. His movement to this facility, remember, was for his safety out of the jail, because they could not facilitate his safety in the jail. So this order back then in November is the reason that that all happened. So basically, in support of this motion, the attorney states that on or about October 28th of 2022, Mr. Allen was charged with the 2 counts of murder. Mr. Allen's bond was set in the amount of $20 million.
Yeah.
First time I'm hearing that. How about you guys?
No, I remember right at the beginning, there was a rumor that that's what his bond was set at. And then because it was confirmed he had no bond, a lot of people said that that was just a lie and a rumor, when in actual fact it was
Set
his
it to
bond to
20
begin
million.
with. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because he still wanted that bail hearing in order to completely say that the charges are baloney and he should be released because they don't have enough evidence against him, remember? So that was the whole point of the request originally. But so then we've got on November 3rd of 2022, prior to counsel being assigned to Mr. Allen, the Carroll County Sheriff, via formal motion, filed his request by the Sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, to transfer the inmate from the custody of the sheriff to the custody of the Indiana Department of Corrections for safekeeping. They talked about how they were worried about not keeping him safe.
I'm sorry, that just makes me laugh a little bit. Just a little.
I could hear the chuckle.
A little page.
Yeah, I tried to hold it in. I'm sorry.
That was her little chuckle.
I tried to do it. I tried to keep it in.
So on the same day of November 3rd, 2022, the Honorable Benjamin Diner, I never know if it's Diner or Diener, but judge of Carroll Circuit Court, executed a court order granting the sheriff's request, and further ordered that the Carroll County Sheriff to transfer Mr. Allen to a facility within the Indiana Department of Corrections as designated by the Commissioner of the Department of Corrections, suitable for Mr. Allen's safekeeping. All decisions regarding Mr. Allen's detention circumstances were made prior to the counsel being assigned to Mr. Allen to speak on his behalf. No formal hearing regarding the sheriff's safekeeping request has been conducted as of the date of filing of this motion. Mr. Allen is currently incarcerated in the Westville Correctional Facility, which he has been detained since November of 2022. So I will just point out, guys, when we read this and when I read through it, there's like other facts that are going on, because at first, when I'm reading all of this, of the reasons that they're really moving him, as you get further in this, I felt like there were maybe more reasons than what they're actually saying of why they're trying to move him. Because can we just point out, why did they wait for 5 months?
Right.
If the facilities were so horrible, why now?
I can make an argument for that.
Go ahead, girl. Go get it. Tell me.
Okay. Because now he can show a steady decline, and now the lawyers have tried doing that 1.5 hour drive, and they're like, no way. So it just became more convenient to have him here, closer to the lawyers. Even if nothing else is true in that document, just having him closer to his lawyers makes sense.
Okay, so Kelt is playing the defense. I want everybody to be aware of that.
I am truly now
the
devil's advocate.
I'd like to make the argument that kind of in this motion, they do state that, you know, one of the factors that Richard Allen is suffering so much is because he can't see his family. So that's just bizarre. So if he's like, how far away has he moved from where he was? Because obviously I'm not local to the area. So how far did he go? You know, is his family being stopped from seeing him, or is it because of his location?
Yeah, and right, because I mean, I'd argue the fact are his family wanting to see him. I'm just asking.
I mean, they apparently showed up at his like trial, right?
Yeah, his wife
Yeah,
was there.
they did.
Right. I don't know. If
But the trial is in Carroll County.
Right.
So they're claiming then that they're being stopped from seeing him, I guess.
Yeah, let me see.
They're
I'm pulling up right now.
They're going to try to get
I'm doing a pull up at this very moment.
a jury out of the county, correct?
Because Cal, that was a really good point about you claiming, you know, closer to the lawyers, which benefits that situation.
1 hour and 32 minutes. 1 hour and 32 minutes. So Westville is located way up in northern Indiana, like right basically on the border, like almost of Michigan. So it's like, you know, kind of sitting there in the almost northwest Indiana type of point. And it is, an hour and a half from Delphi, Indiana to Westville, Indiana.
Okay, so it's not that far.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
So as they go through this, we've got the next thing that says the Westville Correctional Facility is a maximum security prison operated by the Indiana Department of Correction, wherein thousands of individuals convicted of the most serious crimes such as murder, rape, robbery, and child molestation are confined as a result of their convictions. To the best of counsel's knowledge, Westville's correctional facility does not routinely house offenders awaiting trial who are presumed innocent, as a presumption should be with Mr. Allen. It is further noteworthy that Mr. Allen has been continuously assigned to a separate maximum security segregation unit within the Westville Correctional Facility, wherein the most dangerous offenders are held. Counsel have investigated and confirmed with prison officials that said unit routinely houses individuals serving sentences of life without parole and others who have committed some of the most heinous crimes known to our society or have been transferred to this unit after committing further crimes within the Department of Corrections. Counsel was informed by prison employees, notice my red underline there too, that said employees were not aware of any other circumstances wherein a human facing trial under circumstances such as these has been housed in said facility. Finally, counsel has discovered that Westfield Correctional Facility has been the center of much attention in the recent past in matters involving unequal and inhumane treatment of offenders. Okay, I highlighted, there's a lot there, but obviously the one thing I highlighted was informed by prison employees.
Yeah.
Wow.
You and I underlined a lot of the same things.
All right, guys.
I'm not
All
kidding
right.
you.
Who wants to go first, the defense or the prosecution?
Go ahead, defense.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say that he's being housed with people who have already been found guilty. So it's already a high stress area, higher than he would if he was just awaiting trial. And you're not expecting him to be like Keegan, where he's around other people. He can't be. But it does seem like it's a bit inhumane, which is probably why they use the word human, because they're trying to equate him with a POW. So they have human and humane in the same sentence. That's my argument. Paige?
Wow. I don't really have an argument for that. I mean, Kelt is a smart cookie, okay? So, yeah, no, that was good. That was good. What do you think, JSD? Mama Bear?
Okay, here's my thoughts. First of all, I find it a little dirty that the defense team is so-called having these secret conversations with employees. Give me a break. Okay. Second of all, it was requested for his own safety because they can't house him and they don't have enough money in the small county that we're talking about. These murders were committed, right? They don't have the staff. They don't have the people to protect him, and they don't have enough space to be able to keep him isolated. Of course he's isolated. Guess what? You know those horrible list of things that our people are accused of doing? So is he. So they have to protect him from general population, even though he's accused and has not been convicted. That's what they were trying to protect him from in the jail even. So the only people who had the ability at the time that they asked for, the sheriff's department asked for it, they transferred him to that jail. Yes, he may have not had we knew very early on that he did not have an attorney, because remember, he thought he was just going to go get his own attorney. He didn't want an automatic given attorney. And then he said he found out, whoops, it's really expensive to find somebody to defend you in a double murder. No. So then he comes back and says, he pled on the court, please give me attorneys. And that's why we knew nothing was going to really happen very quickly. So, but they've been here ever since. It wasn't like they came much later. So again, my point is, why wait 5 months that he's been in there?
They've been gathering the information to create an argument for this. So it's taken time, like it's premeditated. This is a plan, kind of. So I feel like.
I would also argue the fact about Mama Bear, before you chime in, let me just add this little note on number 7. So the requirement of equal protection dictates, as appeals here agree, that pretrial detainees may not be treated less favorable than convicted persons unless the difference in treatment is justified by a legitimate government interest, right? So let's remember that. the detainee may not be treated less favorable than convicted persons. So am I wrong to define that, Mama Bear, as that means he should be treated just as the other convicted persons, no less, right? Or am I reading that wrong?
No, that's how I would take it also. I mean, again, this is all based on what they're saying is inhumane treatment.
Because I guess people could argue the fact that innocent till proven guilty kind of thing.
Right. Well, that's
Now,
what it
what
says
would be
further
awesome?
on in the statement too,
Yeah.
is what they're saying.
What we should do is look up. Am I still muted? We should look up what is the state required standards for someone in Richard Allen's situation.
Well, and that's what the law is under what I included in here. This is the inmate. These are different trials and stuff of inmate and different things that they put down, as well as the, just the law itself in Indiana. So the demands of equal protection of the laws and due process prevent unjustified confinement of a detainee under worse conditions than a convicted prisoner. So they're trying to say that his conditions are worse than a convicted prisoner. So that's what they have to define here, because in here it says they can't be treated less favorable than a convicted person. So, but he can't be treated better. You're still, no matter what, if you're in jail in Carroll County where you killed 2 girls, people know you, and people
Supposedly.
get thrown in jail.
Right.
You allegedly. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I have you, to remind me to be confident in that one. So if he committed that, if he did it, right, and they put you in jail and they can't protect you, and you have to be sitting there in a jail cell with other people who did all kinds of other things, who knows what, that they're thrown in jail there for, and they're like, oh my God, I'm in jail with this guy who they believe is the killer, and he gets killed. I mean, I would say that's worse treatment than a prisoner.
They have a hierarchy in prison, regardless. In jail, prison, doesn't matter.
But nowhere in this motion does it state he's being treated like that by other prisoners.
No.
So he's clearly being kept safe and away from other people. So what's the problem there?
Right.
And unfortunately,
he's being as kept safe as he possibly can.
So let's go into their list of things that's wrong. So council recently visited the prison, and you'll see the red of my underlined things that's there. Council recently visited the prison and was denied of his request to inspect his client's cell block and living circumstances. Despite this, council has reason to believe that Mr. Allen has been required to endure the following conditions over the course of his 5+ month detainment at the facility. Okay, I'm going to stop there before I even read it. Okay, before I even go through their list of poor Allen. Recent visit, a request to inspect the client's cell block and living circumstances. So his attorneys go there and they want to inspect it. Hit that, Mama Bear.
Okay. I want to say this right up front. I am not an attorney. I am not a police officer. I worked for a police department as a dispatcher. I also was a matron handling female prisoners. And I also was a guardian ad litem. And I quite a bit of access, obviously, to prisoners for both guardian ad litem and also matron duty. And again, I'm not a police officer, I'm not an attorney, but I have never seen an attorney be able to go down to inspect a cell. I mean, again, I don't know. I was looking for precedents in regards to it. I even spoke to an attorney that I know. That person also had not heard of it. But again, the circumstances may be different, obviously, because they are claiming that he's been mistreated. So we have to keep that in mind. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought that was odd for them to sit here and suddenly think that they just go show up and say, I want to inspect the cell. I mean, come on. That doesn't sound right. I don't even have to be in law
And can I,
enforcement to know that.
yeah,
Have
can I
separate
just point
areas
out
for clients to meet their attorneys too? It's on the, not
Yeah.
in the cell, not in the cell.
and the fact that they've stated the diameters of his cell, I'm like, were you in there measuring it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they apparently, it sounds like they've done a full inspection of his cell, but they've claimed that they're not allowed to.
Right.
So I'm just confused by that. But
They're
yeah,
saying it's as large as a dog kennel, they claim. Or large,
what kind of dog?
I know.
There's many different types.
Bedrooms. I think some people's bedrooms, their spare bedrooms.
My dog has my whole house.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not like they had a special small cell made for Rick Allen. This is a standardized cell.
Exactly.
And also, here you
Thank
go. They said
you.
it's also, he's a very small man, so I mean, this is probably luxurious for him. It's like,
And he's losing weight apparently, so it's getting bigger, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Wait a minute.
Well,
Wait a minute. Paige, didn't you say that your bedroom, your third bedroom, was like 6 by 6 or something?
Yeah, exactly. So, Richard Allen, I have very small rooms in my home, so come at me. At least you're not paying for it.
And man, I had 3 sisters. I had 3
swear.
sisters. You want to make it worse, have to share a room with the sisters and then have only one bathroom with 4 girls.
Yeah,
That's
there's a reason why I got 3 bedrooms and there's only 2 of us, so like we can escape each other very easily.
Yeah. I
guess I have a bit more freedom than Richard Allen.
I should have sat here and claimed a bad punishment as a child because I always had to share my room and it was horrible. So let's look at the conditions that they're saying that's in the facility, that the reason to believe this, because they didn't get to inspect it, guys. I can't believe it. Doesn't every person get to have it inspected by their attorneys? Don't they all just get to walk in the jail and just walk around and check it all out? Yeah, that'd be great.
And measure it.
Yep. So Mr. Allen has been entombed in a cell as small as 6 feet wide by 10 feet in length, right? So can I say this? Isn't that bigger than an apartment in New York? I'm just so
and he's not paying for it.
Right. And again, I'll be devil's advocate. I'll play Celt right now. They'll say they have the choice to live in those circumstances. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I guess they do pay for it, which makes them stupid, right?
Sorry,
I love. Instead of defense, she's playing Celt. She's playing Celt. We love you, Celt. We love you, Celt.
Love you guys too, man.
So a space no larger than that of a dog kennel, right? Mr. Allen is sleeping on a pad on a concrete floor. Mr. Allen is afforded showers only 1 to 2 times per week. I'm going to stop right there. I've never been to prison, but do you really want to be sent to the shower a lot while you're in prison? I mean, I've heard things, and I don't think you want to go there.
Exactly.
Oh God, I have such a comeback for that right now. I think you guys all know 25 or no, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking. Did they make sure that Richard Allen really wanted C to be increased? Because I don't think I'm just saying. All right, D. Mr. Allen is required to wear the same clothes, including underwear, for days and days on end, all which are soiled, stained, shattered.
I'm sorry.
And
That says a lot more about Mr. Allen than it does about anything else.
Oh God, this is
I'm
turning into a
sorry.
comedy show.
I couldn't even read it without laughing.
This is
I'm so sorry.
comedy.
Yeah.
This is professional. Okay.
Serious, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Oof.
Okay.
Out.
Stop! God, you guys were.
Okay, wait.
Right, I muted myself now. Let's calm down.
No, you didn't.
Wait.
No,
Okay,
you didn't. We
okay.
still hear.
All right. So we've got inside. First, you got it inside the one way. You take it off. You put it back on the outside. So there's good 2 days, right? 2 days. You take that one shower. Then you get another 2 days. Okay, so we're at day 5.
You flip it back around.
And then remember, because then you switched it inside and out again, right?
Yep.
So that's, and then you got to take that other shower, and then you start the rotation again. I mean, I'm just saying. Now,
And
if
are his
he's
clothes not
it,
being cleaned? Does he not have a sink? Come on.
No, but why is he soiled? I mean, he should see a doctor. Then there's a problem. There's a problem.
I can't.
So we're going on to E. I'm going to try to be very serious in this one, but so Mr. Allen, who is constitutionally innocent man and maintains his factual innocence, I love that, innocence, as well as not been afforded any opportunity to visit with his wife or other family members during the last 5 months of incarceration, during which time he has been subjected to conditions akin to those of a prisoner of war. Okay, since we're all picking things, I'm going to pick prosecutor. And if this man allegedly did it, guess what? Nobody gets to see Abby and Libby again.
Exactly.
Right.
Their families don't get to see them again.
Right.
But we want a legal system under which we are all presumed innocent, and we wouldn't want to spend months, if not years of our life being treated this way if we were innocent.
Yeah. Okay.
There's that devil again.
If we play that side, if he is innocent, can you imagine being an innocent person accused of this and apparently being treated this way?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that it is determined of, is it true that he's being treated worse than, remember the legal definition?
Yeah.
Is he being treated worse than a prisoner that's there? I get what you're saying. I understand whether he's innocent or guilty, but he's being maintained in a different facility due to the fact of his own safety. And when you go to these smaller counties that have these smaller jails, they don't have the protection. They don't have the money to have staff just guarding you. They don't have staff to just guard you if you're going to commit suicide. They don't have somebody to sit there and keep an eye and watch on you. They don't have somebody who's going to be able to keep you separate from, or even have enough cells to keep you separate from the general population. So
right.
the question is,
the best thing to do is to isolate you in that situation, right?
Right. And they
Justice.
That's the reason, Yes, defense team.
You just made an excellent argument for the defense that if he's transferred to this other jail, they do have the facilities to take care of him better, and have someone watching him without stressing the system. And also, on a side note,
according to them, according to them. Now, I have a theory
Right.
on why they also may not want to, because there's honestly, the background that we've checked before in family and connections and stuff, not only with them, but thinking about also with the Kleins, they have a huge family connection in Cass County, because that is located in Logansport, Indiana. So that's just a side note over here, by the way. But how dare you say I made an argument for the defense? No.
You're welcome.
What I'm saying is they can't have any, they're not going to be able to facilitate something special and different for him in a regular small prison. Regular small jail than a prison. That's why he was moved in the first place. And it was the sheriff who moved him, and they let it go. So, but
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, girl.
So, how long was he detained in the first one before he was moved to this one? Because I can't remember.
It was pretty quick.
Yeah, was it like a month? If I'm wrong, don't quote me.
Oh,
it wasn't very long.
I don't even think it was a month. I think it was less than that. I have to go back and look at our date.
Okay, sorry, I was just wondering.
Yeah, because I remember that being right away, because remember that we heard about that there was threats being yelled at him.
Right.
That people were going to kill him.
And his wife can stay at their home and that kind of thing, right?
Right. And those people who were in the jail were threatening him, threatening to kill him, threatening to do other horrible, disgusting things, all kinds of stuff if they got their hands on him. So that is what led up to that they couldn't isolate him and couldn't.
He's been moved once, and now they really want to move him again. Am I right?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
So now we have that they say Mr. Allen is allowed only an electronic tablet through which he can make calls to his family members, all of which is monitored by prison officials, with the cost of all phone calls being borne by Rick and his family. Mama Bear, first of all, he has a tablet to communicate with them. And when you're in jail and all that, you don't get to sit there and randomly keep calling and having conversations with family all the time. Aren't they normally charged to the prisoner anyway?
As far as I know, yes. Or the family puts money on the tablet or card, or however they're getting, contact. So
I mean, we hear about that with Keegan Klein. Remember, he keeps trying to get money. The only way that he can talk or send text or anything like that is if he gets people to send money to his phone and to his account in order for him to even be able to have that, right? He can't text anybody that he wants a Snickers bar unless he has money to text he wants a Snickers bar, right? It just, you pay for those calls. You pay for that information. That's why they give you opportunity in jail and prison also to even earn money while they have the jobs and stuff that you do.
That's what I was thinking of as soon as I read this. I was just like, doesn't everyone have to do this? So basically he's not being treated any better or any worse. He's being treated the same as everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're giving you can call your attorney, right? You're arrested. You can make one phone call, right? You hear that on every show. You're allowed one phone call. Who are you going to call? And then that's your call. You call, your attorney or somebody, and there it is. And then after that, I would assume you'd have to do that. But I mean, honestly, I'm really surprised anymore that I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't realize that, you have people in jail or in prison who are allowed, they got cell phones and stuff. I mean, that Keegan Klein has the CSAM crimes that he had, and he's allowed a cell phone, for God's sakes. All his crimes were on his dang cell phones. Why would you give him a cell phone?
Yeah, and I mean,
I'm sure it's limited.
I've literally heard of homeless people that have committed crimes just to go to prison because they're treated so much better, obviously, and they're given things that you don't get normally. So they are getting these privileges that they don't even appreciate. because they're that type of person.
Can I make a point here real quick, guys?
Go ahead.
As I said before, I was a guardian ad litem. Now, that deals with children. Children have a much different, they have different, privileges and rules and regulations. Vice is obviously an adult prisoner. And I can speak on this. When I would have my children, and unfortunately some, were in juvenile detention centers and so forth, even they were not allowed free calls. The only call that they were allowed to have that was free was to myself or their appointed guardian ad litem. No one else. So that's as a child, and the laws are much different for children. So there you go.
Yeah. So the next part that they go into is Mr. Allen is routinely supervised by other inmates, quote unquote companions, as referred to within the confines of the prison, who sit on and watch outside of his cell door on a daily basis. Mr. Allen is afforded very little, if any, recreational time outside of his cold concrete and metal quarters. This guy should be like a drama writer, right? His cold concrete and metal quarters. That's called jail and prison, but whatever.
I'm just thinking, should we do a GoFundMe so Richard Allen can decorate his cell? He can paint it and put up some posters that he likes. Like, what does he expect?
I don't know, but remember, the county approved. They had that closed court. Because of the gag order, we were not allowed to hear about what the defense wanted in budget. Remember, for expert witnesses and all this stuff at the very beginning that they wanted to have. And they're paying a lot of money to these attorneys. So I'm just going to say, when we get into this stuff about, the attorneys have to drive here or whatever, they're getting reimbursed for that, guys. So nobody think that it's coming out of their hearts and they're not getting reimbursed for all of it, because they're charging the people who live in that county for it, right? This is the cost of defending him. So yeah, whatever. So attorneys, Mr. Allen delivered nearly 1,000 pages of police reports to Mr. Allen on Friday, April 24th of 2023, which the intention of seeking their client's cooperation in his own defense. As of Monday, April 3rd of 2023, said information has yet to be provided to Mr. Allen. I'll add the last 9. The location of Mr. Allen's detention is such that he is isolated geographically, not only from his family, but also from his attorneys, who require to travel for hours. Okay, I told you it's an hour and a half away. To speak with him in confidence regarding his case. Says visits also require making logistical arrangements with prison officials in advance of visits. Mama Bear, wouldn't that be the same no matter what? I mean, in order for the attorneys to go speak to Keegan Klein, don't they have to make the arrangements to go meet him?
Absolutely.
I mean,
right. But they're literally saying, though, that Richard Allen is innocent. So he's being treated the same as someone who is guilty, which is not right, according to them.
Yeah.
That'd be good to know the difference in sizes and availability of rooms, like law libraries, things like that, at where he's being held versus where they want him to be.
Well, the facility that they want him to be in is just built, brand new. Now, I don't know
So it probably has a pretty good law library.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously they did. And when we go in this, we'll see when this really actually happened, because I caught on to that when it was in here. So
we should keep going then.
So number 10, it says it is difficult, if not impossible, for Mr. Allen's attorneys to share confidential and sensitive information with Mr. Allen due to the logistical challenges associated with Mr. Allen's segregation and isolation. Due to the extent that Mr. Allen is being deprived of his constitutional rights to assist in his defense. In contrast, the state of Indiana, through the prosecutor and law enforcement division, sit in the comfort of their own command center, planning and preparing to prosecute Mr. Allen to the fullest extent of the law. Boy, was that not a dig.
Mhm.
I mean,
didn't they contradict themselves by, stating that they give Richard Allen all of this paperwork and then saying that there's a kind of breach in him not, other people kind of knowing this information?
Well, I wanted to go back
Like,
to that actually.
I'm
sorry
confused.
I mentioned
Yeah.
that.
go ahead, go on.
Well, no, because we did. You brought up the 1,000 pages from the police reports and so forth.
Oh yeah, that's in here. Yeah, that's in here. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that one. I'm sorry, we skipped over, and I apologize.
No, that's okay.
They a lot of times they don't want the client to have those type of paperwork in their cells and so forth. I know he's in solitary, he's by himself, he doesn't have a roommate or anything, but anybody could get a hold of that paperwork, and that could actually hinder his defense. Someone seeing information, police reports, documents, anything regarding
And now
defense.
Sorry, Mama Bear.
No, it's okay.
No, it's just that in this part, they're obviously claiming that is of breach, like his data protection, like we talked about in the beginning, is of breach because of the point that they just made. But then, like we said in the beginning, those pages that they're apparently giving him is kind of doing that to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not really a valid point to make.
Remember, when they first took on the case, Richard Allen was moved, right? That's how early it happened. Richard Allen was moved because the jail could not help. Remember, this crime happened in a very small community. There's only 3,000 people, right, in Delphi. There's about 20,000 people total in the county, but you have some larger, areas that are included in that. So when you have that area and they can't facilitate it, and the sheriff is the one concerned about they cannot provide the protection that this person needs, that's why they move you. So when you come and you take on this case and the person is moved in the other facility, and again, I'm arguing on the prosecutor's side, I get it, because you'll probably be surprised of what my opinion is after we go through all of this. But I think that an hour and a half to go get to your client, to schedule a day. I think, honestly, the overwhelming part has happened because of this. Remember that during this time, the only thing that they really wanted this bail hearing. They wanted to go to have the bail hearing, right? And they were only basing it on the information that they had in the first original probable cause affidavit. Of what we know that was revealed. I know a lot of people have been like, wow, that really wasn't a lot of information, some people thought, right? And other people thought, well, we don't know everything that they found in the house. We don't know all this other stuff yet. The only thing we know that's mentioned is about the bullet. Anything else could be redacted. And then as they get closer, because they thought this was going to go to trial, all of a sudden the prosecutor sends to the defense team leading up to and prior to this hearing to see if he should get bail. They turn over all of the discovery, right? And when we read farther, we're going to see that they themselves said how overwhelming the information, meaning the evidence, was that they turned over to the defense team that they have to go through. And they talked about that. So now, in order to go through all of that particular information, they're like, they want him close by. And I'll just say it now. I don't think it matters here nor there where he's housed. I really don't. I do think that it should not be a special burden. Remember, he's not supposed to be treated better than an inmate based on Indiana law. He can't be treated worse than an inmate. He's supposed to be treated like an inmate. No worse, no better. So if he's moved to a jail, that jail shouldn't have to have another staff member and have this other, other special circumstances that they have to do in order to take on anything additional, I guess, that would make him be treated better than somebody who was being held. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So, but I don't think the dig of talking about that the state of Indiana and the prosecutor and the law enforcement, are in comfort. They're just in comfort sitting at their command center, preparing their case against what does that help? What does that help? I thought it was unprofessional myself, but so we get to number 11. Let me move this down. Okay, maybe don't move down. Okay, there it is. In sum, Mr. Allen is being treated far less favorably than a convicted person, many of which are housed in less secure areas of the prison, are offered programming therapy and mental health services, routine recreation, and contact visits with family and friends. To further complicate matters, Mr. Allen has suffered from depression dating back to his early years. Upon incarceration, Mr. Allen was presumably evaluated and medicated by prison medical staff up until a visit with Mr. Allen on April 4th. Counsel for Mr. Allen found him to be polite, communicative, with great eye contact, generally responsive to our questions, and exhibiting a good sense of humor on occasion in spite of his false arrest and circumstances. However, Mr. Allen's deteriorating physical condition has been observed by counsel dating back to the beginning of the new year. So before I click that over, any thoughts on these comments of his depression?
Yeah, I just want to say that, that kind of claim of his depression and all that kind of stuff, like he's been charged with this murder right now. That's what's happening. His bond has been set at a really high amount, and then it was released to no bond. His depression and everything like that, like so many people go through that type of thing, that is kind of irrelevant and is kind of playing in my mind like, well, is he deteriorating because of a guilty conscience? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I would want to know if he was treated for depression previously. I would want to know if he has access to doctors and psychologists and medicine if needed.
Yeah,
and
is there a record of that? Exactly.
Like Peter's saying, he's saying like he should be treated better than a regular inmate because he hasn't been found guilty yet. And if he goes up in a jury trial and he looks like he does now, that kind of gives the jury a completely different impression of who Richard Allen is compared to what he looked like when he was first arrested. And whether we like it or not, we do judge people by their looks. That's our first instant thing we do, is what do they look like? How do I feel about this person? So
I mean, I understand. I totally get what everybody's saying about he's not been proven guilty yet. The problem is the validity of all the stuff that has found him to be the suspect and who they believe actually committed the murder of 2 girls, a savage murder of 2 girls.
And the bond was set at that amount to begin with, which I don't know if you've heard of that ever being set for anyone being charged in this kind of case. So for me, I feel like they have a distinctive evidence that, of course, we haven't seen yet. why would we have seen it yet? We've only heard like a snippet of what could have possibly happened. And I feel like a lot of people are jumping to his defense in the regard of innocence till proven guilty. But we do have to remember why we're here, and it is because of Abby and Libby.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get what you guys are saying. I know he hasn't been, like, if you haven't been proven guilty, the problem is that there's also a difference of what type of charge you go and are arrested for. And he is being charged with the murder of 2 girls. So it's murder. We have 2 counts of murder. So you're not getting bail. In Indiana, you're not supposed to get bail for that. Yeah. But yet here's this huge giant amount that was set, right? That was unobtainable for him to get. There's no way for him to get it. So you've got that amount. And then remember, I know what you're saying on he should be treated better, but that's not the Indiana law. We just read that law. Even he stated it. The defense stated the law itself, that he is supposed to be treated no worse than a prisoner. And they're trying to say that he's being treated worse than a prisoner that's in there.
And all it sounds to me is that he just soils himself a lot.
It's just, yeah.
I mean,
and here's the thing. I would argue as we go further in this, guys, I think, is this stuff starting to set up, again, this wasn't somebody accidentally internally was the one who made this suddenly available, that all the major news stations had got this. I explained that at the beginning. If you guys didn't watch that, rewind and see it. But so this comes and gets out. And we're like, who does this benefit? Is this starting maybe of a possible defense when we're starting to talk about his mental health and that he has suffered from depression since very young? I don't know, right? That could be.
Wasn't there's something that said that he actually went to a mental health facility a little while after the murders?
Right. Yeah. Right after,
was it a week
after he went and told that he was at the park and told the DNR officer,
that's right.
He went and checked himself into a hospital. And remember, it was rumored whether it was due to alcohol,
yes,
or
that was
if it was due to mental health.
And that's another point too. Right now, I hate to say it, the picture that we are looking at him currently, the new picture, right? What if he is unfortunately coming down off of, alcohol?
Right.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
There's,
and any prisoner in our system, no matter what, deserves the right to have medical care, and they all get it. We all know it, right? You get medical care while you're in there. If their attorneys believe that now he's suffering from mental illness, why have they not ordered a mental check on him then? They can do that.
Absolutely. I agree.
They can say, we want to, because right now we're hearing it from the attorneys. He's suffering this. This isn't a medical diagnosis. This is coming from his attorneys.
Right.
So
they can request to have him sent to the medical ward.
Right.
For that. In a private area, of course, again.
All I see from this is like plead insanity.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's all I see.
So when we go further in his, it says, as recently as Friday, April 24th, attorney Andrew Baldwin met with Mr. Allen with optimistic news about the direction of the case. And Mr. Allen was inquisitive about the information, was thankful about the information, and optimistic about the information. Only 10 days later, April 3rd of 2023, attorney for Mr. Allen observed a steep decline in Mr. Allen's demeanor, ability to communicate, ability to comprehend, and an ability to desist in his defense. Simply put, this version of Richard Allen was very different version than counsel for Mr. Allen had interacted with over the past 5 months. Mr. Allen appeared to be suffering from various psychotic symptoms, which counsel would describe as schizophrenic and delusional. Counsel further believes that in our April 4th, 2023 interaction, Mr. Allen seems to be suffering from memory loss and is demonstrating an overall inability to communicate rationally with counsel and family members. Counsel experienced these symptoms firsthand upon visiting Mr. Allen on Monday, April 4th of 2023. Okay, lots of stuff here, in my opinion. The first thing is, what great, optimistic, wonderful news that he's so happy and so thankful. I mean, come on. What is that? Right? I mean, please.
Go ahead, Cal.
All right, defense team.
What?
Defense team.
Dude, I'm gonna just lay it all on the line for how far the attorneys have to travel and how that cuts into his time being represented. This other stuff is too much. You can argue one way or another.
Oh, so you don't find this evidence and statement to be helpful to your defense whatsoever?
Oh, jeez.
Are you?
Can I just say something?
I would probably want to get the dates right first. I would probably try to get the dates right.
I just want to say something. I think this is a great cause for Richard Allen to not be able to speak to the police because he's got memory loss and he can't communicate. He can't tell them anything about anything because of his mental state, you know, which makes me roll my eyes. Anyone else?
So this is a setup.
I mean, the first part of this, the first little piece of this to me is so self-promotion of, wow, the case is going so well. What a positive thing. We came and told him and he was so thankative. I'm surprised they didn't say, and then he hugged me and we were best buds. I mean, come on, buddy. What is that? Right. And then they talk, you know, then 10 days later there's a decline. Well, maybe your good news wasn't good news to him. And then when you sit here and let me tell you where this would mean a lot to me. Defense team, AKA Kelt. This is when this would mean a lot to me. If they actually brought in a psychologist and that psychologist said he is suffering from schizophrenia and delusional and depression and whatever other word they want to add to it, right? And then he's suffering. And not only doing that, he has memory loss and he can't talk.
And this was all dropped and it shouldn't have been in the first place. Just making that work.
And potential jurors could be seeing this.
Mm-hmm. You think?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I mean, okay, Kelt, who would this be? AKA, I'm putting air quotes in the people. You guys can't see it. Air quote hands. This accidentally got released internally when it was put on My Case Indiana. It gets released. Who does this document benefit? Hey, chat, who do you think this benefits getting out to the public?
The defense or
I think Ava said an interesting thing. Ava, was it you that said, like way up there, that when this is posted, when something on My Case is posted, they're supposed to click private. And so maybe whoever did it didn't click private.
You know what? I agree with you. It could be that simple. But when you have a case that's this high profile and under a gag order, don't you triple check that you do something?
Yeah. Yeah.
And guys, let me say this at the ending, because I know there's a lot of people in chat. I'm not saying you shouldn't be moved. I you know what? I don't think it matters. Honestly, I don't think it matters. But I will say I am curious in why it took 5 months for this to happen. He's been there. If they thought it was a bad facility, why didn't they ask him to be moved? You know, they didn't come in way later. They were here within, I would say, less than the first month of when he was arrested, when they finally placed him in there, that we knew what attorneys were picked.
And the
So
expense of moving him to JSD, don't forget about that. And people's safety by moving him also, including his own.
right.
It's going to be very entailed to do this.
And can I add something now? I don't know this for sure. And I will check into it and verify this. When Keegan Klein was arrested, you guys remember, and suddenly there was stuff that they were working on the case, and they closed up stuff that was for the case, that there wasn't access to things on the case. Remember, like when I tried to get the more updated list of visitors that he had, right? So, and that stuff was all shut down and closed down of who he was visiting at the end part of his imprisonment, because I sent a legal request to be able to get that. So they had closed that off. So the ending time that he had been in jail, we don't know who was visiting him and that. Remember, that was during the time that he was moved from custody. Remember, he was taken to the Grissom Air Force Base with multiple law enforcement agencies talking to him. And then that is when he was, the river search happened for 5.5 weeks. So if this case is on a gag order, I don't know how much you're allowed to talk to family. I think there are some type of restrictions, if I'm not wrong. Does somebody else already know that or can speak to that? I mean, I'll definitely look that up and see information I can find about that. But if it's a gag order, they have to watch who would be coming in and visiting him for sure.
Well, everything's monitored, Jason.
Right. You can't expect privacy whether you're in prison or jail.
No, either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, everything's monitored as far as that goes. Now, granted, he does have, his privacy with his attorney, that he is entitled to by all means. Because if not, then you have a state that's going to say, they're going to be SOL, basically, that he wasn't given a fair trial. Right there, done. Period. So.
All right, so then we go to the next one here. Mr. Allen's physical condition is deteriorating rapidly. Attached Exhibit A, a photo of Mr. Allen taken by counsel at the correctional facility on April 4th of 2022 or 23. Sorry. Said phone reflects the significant toll of his current incarceration on his physical person and by extension his mental capacity. By contrast, see attached Exhibit B, which reflects his condition year or two prior to his incarceration. The condition under which Mr. Allen has been forced to endure are akin to that of a prisoner of war. The test for determining the constitutional of treatment pretrial detainees alleged to deprive them of liberty without due process of law is whether those conditions amount to punishment for the detainee. Here, Mr. Allen is being punished to the fullest extent of the law. The conditions he is currently enduring have been thrust upon him without any judicial analysis of the need for such a deprivation of his liberty. Further, counsel is unaware of the facts outside of those generally alleged in the sheriff safekeeping petition, which support the need to detain Mr. Allen on what could casually be referred to as death row. So I used the photo prior to his arrest. You guys have probably seen that out there. Now, I'm going to say, of course, you could show that. I would argue the fact, and I'm mixed. I don't know how you protect a guy, and I think they're going to have the same issues, but I just don't know how you protect this guy and isolate him and do everything you're supposed to. And that was what they were doing to protect him so that he doesn't get, basically, let's just say it, that he doesn't get murdered while he's in jail waiting trial. and that he's not in the same community that people know about the case. And yes, I think he looks bad, but if you finally get arrested for stuff, don't you think that you're going to
Maybe
look
it's
pretty
just
bad?
to whom's advantage is it if this guy dies? Is there an advantage to anyone else that may or may not be involved in this case if this man dies? Just throwing that out there. If we think there's more than one person,
On
you
a
know.
financial level.
And there's also a power trip. Who's he with? What's his face name? Liggett? Like, yeah. Isn't that who has him right now? Maybe he doesn't want to let him go.
Yeah, I don't, well, and they talk about who has said that it's okay for him to go and who's said, let me tell you, I'm sure anybody arrested, period, especially these type of charges, if you're in jail, it's going to take a mental toll on you, right? It's going to take a mental toll on anybody whatsoever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you know what let me help the defense for a minute. Let me help you, Kel. You could argue, not that you need help, lady. You could
Yeah, I do.
argue the fact that is this a ploy by prosecution, or maybe the sheriff's department, to make him suffer as much as he can so he confesses or talks.
Sure, anything's possible.
I mean, personally, if I would be afraid that he would have talked already if he was going to.
I don't think you know why I don't think he would have, though? Remember, we've talked about this before. I think he didn't because his defense team has been giving him the hope that he was going to get bail. Remember, it was all, we're going to argue. There's no evidence here in the probable cause affidavit. We're going to go argue the fact. Then all of a sudden, the prosecution dumps all of the information of discovery on him, and now they would have had to go and argue the fact of they don't have enough information on him. They don't have enough stuff to say he's actually guilty, so you should release him and he should wait for trial.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't his attorneys say that publicly too? That we will all see the fact that there is not enough evidence.
Right. That's why they did the gag order. They did the gag order when that started happening, when he came out.
That speaks volumes to me, again, in my opinion. Okay.
Not only that, the prosecution eventually is probably going to start sending over plea bargains, perhaps, to him. And he has to wait for the best one to come down the line. Because eventually his lawyers might be like going through all this paperwork and be like, dude, they got you. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you the truth. They got you. This is what time you're looking at, Foreverland. But they're offering you this deal. So maybe they'll put you in a nicer Foreverland. What do you think? Well, he's not going to make a deal right now. He has to wait until it's in his best interest to make a deal. So maybe that's why Rick Allen wouldn't be talking about other people yet.
Certainly. Possibility.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He wants, like you said, they want to get the best for him. I mean, that's
and
their
Jinx,
job.
I agree with you.
Attorney.
Yeah. And I agree with Jinx.
What'd Jinx say?
I can't read Jinx.
Yeah.
I can't read.
She says,
showing the PowerPoint.
Go ahead.
Kara County, Ellie, on all levels are sus. And, the more you know about this case, the more you start thinking stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole thing about, that we know about, a whole bunch of connections of different stuff that happened, and corruption in Carroll County that has happened before, that, people have left office and retired and did all kinds of stuff. But, we've got a lot of suspect stuff that goes on and stuff there. And people argue that fact all the time about things going on there. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Here's the thing. If the man committed it, then I would agree. I would think all of you would say, if he really did this crime, then when he goes to prison and he suffers all of this, that is what, and he was found guilty, then that's what you get. That's why you don't commit crimes, people. That's why you don't go to prison. It's not a fun place to live. So I am arguing, obviously, the prosecution side along, and we've got Kelt doing defense and stuff in there and stuff too. But, I'm skeptical of what's going on, because it makes me more skeptical of how this got out. Somebody is letting stuff slip out of that office. This isn't the first time, guys. We know that. They're accidentally publishing stuff that ends up, that's supposed to go here or there, and suddenly it gets out and people see it on My Case. It's a public site. There's nothing wrong with people finding stuff on there. That's what you're supposed to do.
And again, each time things are leaked on accident, whose side does it happen? The defense or the prosecution? Again, I guess it could go either way.
And I agree with you, Crystal. To say that he would have a lawsuit if he's found not guilty for this treatment, you're right.
Sure.
You're absolutely right.
That's like the guy from Making a Murderer. Remember? In the first section, he won, what was it, $1 million or something like that, correct?
Oh yeah.
Like wrongly convicted. So, yeah, agreed, definitely.
Well, and that's the thing. We don't know what other information is inside all of the discovery that dropped. And it could be a heck of a lot or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this next section is what interested me, that I at least it picked up when I read it. It says approximately 2 months prior to filing of this petition, Attorney Rosley was able to secure a more traditional bed space in the Cass County Jail, a newly erected modern jail facility with the most advanced security measures, located directly across the street from Attorney Rosley's office and only approximately 20 miles from the Carroll County Courthouse. Said modifications of Mr. Allen's incarceration would result in a more humane living environment in which Mr. Allen would be afforded immediate access to his attorney, and more importantly, would allow Mr. Allen to have regular contact visits with his family, i.e. this detention circumstance would afford Mr. Allen due process of law. Under these circumstances, Mr. Allen would be treated like the inmate awaiting trial in the criminal justice system, as opposed to being punished based on the merits of untested charging information and probable cause affidavit. In the process of facilitating Mr. Allen's removal from Westville Correctional Facility, Attorney Rosley communicated with Prosecutor Nicholas McLeland, who articulated that he has no objection to a modification of Mr. Allen's detention circumstances to a facility closer to Carroll County. So I'm gonna agree with it. I'm gonna agree with that. I mean, I do agree that, and let me make sure I'm not missing something at the bottom of the screen real quick.
Before you agree.
Yeah, before I agree. So then it goes into that the Attorney Rosley was recently informed that the Carroll County Sheriff's Department declined Attorney Rosley's request to have Mr. Allen removed from the harsh conditions under which he is currently detained to a more traditional county jail near Mr. Allen's attorney and family. Mr. Allen asserts that said denial is a deliberate attempt to impose conditions upon him that are intended to frustrate his purpose in defending against the charge allegations and create a hardship on him which would drive any human to mental breakdown. Said approach to his pretrial detention is a direct infringement on the Sixth Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. So that tells me he's really pissed that the sheriff said no.
But why did the sheriff say no?
That's the question. That is the question, isn't it?
Things that make you go,
Yep. So they go on to say, from a practical standpoint, it is also worth noting that the raw volume of discovery offered. This is the thing. Worth noting. Let me move this too. Worth noting that the raw volume of discovery offered by the state of Indiana in the case is overwhelming. For example, there exists nearly 3,000 pages of law enforcement reports that need to be examined in the case. In addition, there exists thousands of hours of surveillance video. That one piqued me. And video interviews of potential suspects, witnesses, and other interested parties. The discovery suggests the law enforcement authorities have processed over 31,000 tips during the course of the investigation, all of which must be reviewed by the defense. Reasonable access to Mr. Allen is necessary and is needed to assist the process of reviewing discovery. His current detention situation does not provide this convenience. As a further practical matter, both co-counsel for Mr. Allen are having to drive hours away from their respective law offices in order to talk with Mr. Allen, and the time spent on the road is much more costly for Carroll County taxpayers than housing Mr. Allen in Cass County, where everyone except the Carroll County Sheriff is on board with Mr. Allen being housed during the pendency of the case. And to end it, Attorney Rozzi believes an emergency exists and time is of the essence based upon the dramatic change in Mr. Allen's condition, including his change in demeanor, change in appearance, and change in his overall mental health status, and respectfully requests that this honorable court modify the safekeeping order. Remember, this was the safekeeping order they're canceling. That's why he was moved there. It was a safekeeping order. And order Richard Allen to be transported and housed at the Cass County Jail or somewhere near to his family and lawyers, and to do so without a hearing. And then, he doesn't want the hearing, wants it to move forward, or to conduct a hearing as soon as possible before Mr. Allen is placed in further jeopardy due to his current placement. And also so that Mr. Allen may assist his lawyers in addressing Mr. Allen's mental health concerns, as well as allowing Mr. Allen to participate in the preparation of his defense and for all other just and proper relief in the premises. So, there you go.
Go ahead, Cal.
Go on, defense team. Wrap you up.
I say let him. I was just thinking of this like a chess game, right? Between the two lawyers. And by putting in there that the prosecutor was okay with it, he's kind of giving the prosecutor, he's saving face, right? Okay, prosecutor's not a bad guy. This guy over here in the jail, he's the bad guy. Not R.A. Liggett. He's the bad guy. Because really, it doesn't matter about him anymore. So the chess game is between the two lawyers. He gave him a save face. Okay, you guys are okay. But now, if Carroll County gives him up, that's like saying, yeah, they're right. We were kind of treating him bad. We lost. Send him over here to this other one. If they keep him and Rick Allen keeps going downhill, that's going to prove that the defense lawyer was right. So I don't know. This is like so complicated, right? It's a chess game, and I don't even know how to play chess. So
I can teach you. I love playing chess.
You,
Checkers.
you and
Uno.
CJ.
I do
You
Uno.
and, you and CJ still need to
Yeah,
have.
CJ. No, me and CJ have not. Evil CJ has challenged me to a chess match. People, one day we're going to do it. I'll tell you all about it when it comes up. But right, I think that. I mean, there's a lot of information there. I think it was on his safety. I think I don't know why the sheriff is saying no. I'm sure that we're going to hear. I bet money we are going to hear on Monday, probably from the sheriff to speak up about that. I'm sure they're trying to get interviews and stuff with him of what your reason is. Um, and I feel like that. They have to be careful either way. If they would have kept him in jail, in a regular jail, and and they were saying they couldn't keep him safe there, and he gets murdered there, then they're responsible for it. Period. Right? They're responsible for it. I think no matter what happens, that his attorney should be getting him mental health. His attorney should be asking, maybe even for him to be evaluated himself, period, and then and to be getting the mental health if he believes that he has deteriorated and now somehow has suffered from something that now he's saying he can't even communicate. Also remember, this defense team was asking that they don't want to go to trial this year at all. They want the trial not to be held till next year.
Right.
So again, these diagnoses have not been given by a psychologist. These are what the defense attorney is saying. And we know both the prosecutor or defense attorney can exaggerate of what is being said, right? That's their job. They're going to say whatever. And this information getting out is kind of like the defense team speaking to the public and telling us how horrible the conditions are for Richard Allen. So again, I find it suspect.
Sorry. I also think the prosecution also deserves a right to know who's been speaking to the defense team from the inside, as far as, all of these things that are going on and getting the information about this jail cell and this and that and the other thing. Someone is, leaking. So,
Right.
It's happening always, I guess.
Right. Absolutely. I think in the best interest of the case itself would be best for them to move him, right? I don't think it looks good for Carroll County and the sheriffs and stuff to sit here or to object from moving him. I think whatever, have him in there. Now, he, just like our law says, the Indiana law says, he has to be treated no worse. Remember, it says no worse than an actual prisoner. But the same goes, he is not supposed to be treated any better either. He's still going to be in jail. He's still an accused murderer of 2 counts. And they obviously have enough information to hold him because he has not been allotted bail. The bail amount, or to be, let's say, to be let out, the bail amount that they gave is too high for him to possibly reach. So, right. I mean,
I agree with you, JSD. I think the prosecution with the state basically would definitely be smart to allow him to be moved for the better of themselves and for the case. It looks better for them. And yes, his attorney should have more access to him, So,
yeah.
If I was the prosecution, I would immediately request a mental hearing, evaluation on him.
Yeah.
And maybe even some sort of basic medical, like, is he starving? Is something medically wrong with him? Just to have that. I don't know if it can be released, although it would be to their benefit to release it if a psychiatrist comes back and says, look, this guy's fine. But they probably can't say anything until the trial. But that's just covering the bases, right? To say, no, you were accusing us of this, this, and that, and now we just hired someone, and the evaluation says he's fine. you know.
Yeah.
Get it
I
done.
think no matter what, they should be looking, and his team should be asking for mental health for him, period. And remember, in there it said several different times about that. First, they said it was at the beginning of the year, right? They first said they were noticing a change in him at the beginning of the year. Then they said that they sat here and those were there were specific dates that were happening and going on. So, you know, and then now it was like, okay, within a matter of 10 days, this dramatic thing happened. So if that's like dramatic, he can't understand, he can't remember, he can't whatever. I mean, those words to me are very interesting. I find it interesting. So, I don't know. I don't know.
I just think they need to do, the prosecution needs to do basically what's asked of the state, truthfully.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Kel on all that part, it's just a better look. I mean, and I think too, putting them in the hospital unit, could benefit him too, as far as with the mental health issues and so forth, if they feel that that's what he needs.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
that,
I think that we've got this. So I think we'll probably hear sooner than later. I don't think they're going to wait till the June date to take care of this and move it. I bet you somebody orders a actual mental health checkup. I would think it would be the defense at first, but you're right. It could be that the uh, sheriff's department or whatever they say they have a mental health check on him. So I don't know.
it's going to be interesting. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And I really think by all of the evidence that they're talking about that they received from the prosecution, which is interesting, talking about all the surveillance video. What did you guys think about that?
Good, Cal.
Well, imagine when they said that, all I imagined was they mentioned he was cars that were seen from the highway, no, from the roadway. Who picked that up? A county store, country store, feed store. Remember, they gave a
Right.
time when his car was seen,
Right.
and when Kelsey's car was seen. Um, that's surveillance video, but that's not 1,000 hours. And I said there was the word "and" interviews. So is it 1,000 hours of video? Then there's
That's how,
interviews.
that's how I read it originally when I
Yeah,
first read it, but it was separate. So I found that interesting. So, it is saying surveillance video as a category, right? And then the interviews of potential suspects. And we know who those people would be, right? I mean, the interview, Ron Logan's on it, right? We know Ron Logan wasn't interviewed. And we know from Chadwell was talked to, right? Because they're talking about different people. So you think of all the people that we had. What about the guy from Colorado? Oh my God, his name isn't coming to me. All right, Chad, I know you remember. I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who was out in Colorado and he was used a hatchet and stuff to go after somebody, and then they brought him back because he was from Indiana. He had a history of uh, sexual abuse, right? He had all of that kind of stuff.
yeah, I can't
So
remember
it's
his
just,
name.
I can't. Oh my God, why
I
can't
hate when we get put on the spot.
I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw out something I can't remember his name for, but
And there's just so many leads that they've had, so many people that they've looked into.
yeah.
And then you start mixing it up with Keegan's case and going, well, oh wait, he was in Colorado. What was the name of that person? Then you go down holes.
Well, and you know what? Did you bring up Keegan? Keegan Klein's going to be one of them, right? He's going to be one of the interviews that they look at because they did talk to him. They have
Dude, I
talked
bet
to
you
him
Keegan
about
has
this.
to testify in the Rick Allen case. I bet you he has to testify because Are they going to argue that Rick Allen had something to do with Anthony's shots?
That's a great transition. Thank you, prosecution.
Yep.
Because my next thing is talking about that Keegan Klein, and that we had the plea, because we haven't been on since that happened, right? So
Nope.
Keegan Klein has the plea, and he changes to plead guilty. And then what is the big argument? The big argument from the defense and the prosecution is whether it's consecutive time or concurrent time he's going to serve. And they can't agree upon that. So now they're waiting till May 18th, which would have been the regular scheduled of the end of his actual jury trial if he would have went to trial, right?
Right.
And they're waiting to then to actually sentence him. Now, a lot of people were talking about, because you had different media and stuff and people reporting, oh my God, this doesn't make him agree to talk in the Delphi murders or say anything about that and blah, 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 blah. Right, because this is a CSAM charges. He didn't agree. We don't know that he's not having a conversation about anything about Delphi, right? Because here's the thing. All right, and I know I have a bias, so I'm going to let you all know that right now. I can't let go that Keegan Klein has some type of connection to the Delphi murders. You can't ignore the Anthony Shots connection. If that is a connection that has nothing to do with the murders, I will eat the fedora on my head on a video.
Oh, God.
I will eat it. The fedora will be gone, right?
And are you going to eat CJ's hat also?
No way. I can't eat that baseball cap thing. Can't do it. Can't do it at all.
Sorry, CJ.
It's got all that plastic and stuff. It doesn't go
Right.
down well.
God.
Yeah, CJ, what are your thoughts on there? You want to jump up and mention anything, or are you working on stuff in the background?
I got the feeling he was coming back and forth.
I
CJ,
think so.
are you out there?
He does that work.
Yeah.
He's probably doing his show, because I know he was talking about going on tonight too. But yeah, I mean, I just can't let go. You can't ignore the Anthony Shots. You can't ignore that person was going to meet with her. Right? You can't ignore that we've had the comment that he admitted he set that up. So somehow, whether it's him or not, he gave access to a person who set up meeting with Libby and was communicating. Remember, I pointed this out to you guys. In this CSAM charges, what we didn't see? Remember what the real reason was that he sat here and they went to his house. CJ, I was just checking if you would want to jump up. I knew you were doing prep work. Sorry, I knew you were prepping for your show. It's okay if you can't, but I'm just saying. But let me know if... Now I lost train of thought. What was I saying?
I was thinking they're going to have to also investigate the Dropbox. They're going to have to find out, what did they learn from the Keegan case? Is there an association with RA and the Dropbox? This is huge. This is so big, guys.
Well, and here's the thing. Remember, this is local charges. It's not federal charges. So I want to point that out. Federal charges can be still filed in that case.
Absolutely.
Because, I know what I was trying to point out. Originally, they went to his house because they were talking about the person with a mask looking in the girl's room.
Window.
She was communicating with somebody as Anthony Shots. Then she comes home from school, and there is a man with a ski mask looking in her room.
real quick, JSD, I'm sorry. CJ said drop him a link.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to drop it in here because I don't know if I can get
But
it
he
in.
said he'll be up there in
Give him
about 5 minutes.
5. Yeah, drop
right.
it and give him 5. Yep.
I'll drop
I
that
started
in.
the countdown.
Okay. So we can't. Somebody, Anthony Schatz, went to look in there. So then the FBI gets word that the Anthony Schatz profile is communicating with somebody and trying to get nudes of an underage girl through Snapchat, and other sites. And so that's why they show up at his house. That's why they pick up the devices. That's why. Where's the charges for that? Why haven't they charged? Why didn't they charge Keegan Klein? Could they not prove that wasn't him? Right? All the charges he has is about CSAM and about trying to hide the information. Remember, why if there was nothing going on, why did he sit here and delete the one phone out of all the devices he had? He knew to hide that phone. He knew to hide the phone.
The one and only. Just makes you shake your head.
Jinx, the ski mask a few days after the thing is not fake. There is a police report of the few days after the murder, there was a mask. And that's not the only time there was a masked person, because we had another case in Young America.
Justice, did you find the police report about the mask?
We did. We've covered that.
Sweet.
I'll pull that up and I will drop it in here for you, Jinx. I will drop in the news story from the actual news that talks about the girls being looked in there, because that is true.
Yeah. Yep.
She was communicating. She knew, she was friends with the girls. She knew those girls, and he was multi-county. Because let me tell you with the CSAM how that works. They turn around and they get into that one person will be friends with them. And then suddenly it's very easy for them to make contact with that girl's girlfriends. Because then they sit there and go, oh, it's okay for me to be friends with this person because so-and-so is friends with them and so-and-so is friends with them. That's why they were communicating with an Anthony Schatz at a slumber party, because they knew all of that. But I will, Jinx, in the description of this show, I will go back. I will drop the news story link about that information.
Yeah, because you were trying to find it a while back, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we got that information because we also have that in our timeline. We put that in our timeline as well, and we have the links in our timeline of where we got that info. Yeah, Jinx, I have not heard about that being debunked at all. It was news reported about that girl. It was also, that is the link that got the FBI to go there as well. It was not because of the murders. They hadn't checked Keegan Klein's phones yet. They didn't even know that he was talking to Libby yet. I will. You know what, Jinx? I know Frank. I can send him the link too. I'll go talk to him on it if he wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
And CJ, the link is up in the show if you do want to join. If you can see it, I can redrop it if you need it. If you'd like to join. You don't have to. We won't force you to talk to us. But I know you're prepping for your show. You got so much stuff going on. He's doing great coverage on the Stephen Smith case. And I learn a lot about that case going over there, because that's not a case. It's a very interesting case. So
yeah.
Let's see here.
Sad.
Hey, Mr. CJ.
Hey, CJ.
Hey, good evening or afternoon.
Oh,
Good evening.
Oh, that voice.
Good evening.
That was kind of like an Elvis. That was like an Elvis voice.
An Elvis voice? What do you mean?
That deep
CJ,
voice.
can you say I'm not using my hands?
I would say what?
No,
I-
never
I'm not.
mind. It's from last night.
I'm
Oh
not
God.
using my hands.
Oh no, the shirt. That's the first time I played the
Oh
t-shirt.
yeah.
Let me say this. Okay, so Evil CJ covers true crime and stuff. Let me introduce him. Hi, Evil CJ Show. And he does shows about different true crime. He's deep diving into Stephen Smith and other cases. He's covered Delphi and everything like that. But he has nights that are just fun game stuff. And I love it because one, I don't have to prep for it. I have no prepping to work to do. It's very relaxing. It's very open and friendly. And sometimes I win the games. That bingo shit, I don't win at all. I'm horrible at that. I can't manage that very well.
Yeah, that's
But
kind of hard for
yeah,
that.
so you need to subscribe to Evil CJ. We can drop his link again in there if you want to subscribe to him. You're doing a show tonight, right?
Yeah, I just don't know what yet. I'm having a hard time trying to decide.
Yeah, there's so much to cover all the time.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the probable cause affidavit about moving him?
Well, I mean, you guys know how I felt about him the whole time, his involvement or whatever, but um I I, I don't know. I kind of he is innocent until proven guilty. And when I look at it as cuz I look at it in two ways. I look at it as my own personal opinion, and then I look at everything as a juror should. And when I'm looking at it as a juror should, I look at it as what, and I'm not saying I feel he is, but what if he isn't guilty and this is the kind of things that he's going through? So I don't really have an issue with him being moved if that does take place because he still is going to be in a prison. He's still, going to be in custody. But when I look at that picture, and I don't know if the picture was uh, taken a certain way to project a certain message, but when I'm looking at the damn picture, I'm like, it looks bad.
Yeah. If you're guilty or innocent, I think when you get sent to prison, you're a mess no matter what, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to be a mess. Here's my other question to you. And chat, please feel free to comment or whatever, or if you have an opinion, like to join up. But here's my thing, CJ. Don't you think it's odd that this somehow got accidentally publicly leaked out on the site?
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah. It
So
wasn't supposed to be, it was not supposed to be publicly shown, this motion, because remember, there's a gag order.
oh wow. Okay.
So somehow on the My Case,
Oh yeah, that's right.
it got posted, and I told her, but see, this is how much I love true crime. I'm checking this shit while I'm in the hospital. I just want you all to know that right now. It was killing me because
Glad you're
they don't
back,
have
too.
YouTube in the hospital. I want you all to be aware of that. They don't have it.
That's crazy.
Probably would have done a show from the hospital.
I would have. I think I even posted. I posted in there because I was actually watching CJ one night in the hospital. I was catching a show, and my nurse came in, and she's checking stuff or whatever, and she could hear what was going on. And I can't remember. Somebody was talking about like beating somebody up or so. I don't know what it, you guys were joking around about something. And so she's like, "What are you listening to?" And I was like, I said, "What?" I said, "Well, it's first. I'm like Evil CJ, like she's going to know what that means." And I was like, "Oh," I said, "I'm watching true crime on YouTube." I said, "I like true crime and I do true crime." And she goes, "Oh, really?" So she started asking a whole bunch of questions. So hopefully, CJ, we possibly both got a new subscriber out of that because she was listening while I'm there. But But yeah, so it got posted, and I was follow Angela Ganote from Fox 59, and the new local Indianapolis news stations caught on to the post. They grabbed the post off of that. Well, after they grabbed the post of this motion, suddenly it was blocked, and now you can't access it. So when it first got out there, it was like it wasn't supposed to be. Well, if it's not supposed to be with the details and not supposed to be with the photo, it's kind of like that the gag order kind of didn't work because the defense got some stuff out the door, I think.
Yeah, or somebody that was in charge of putting it up there didn't do what they were supposed to, you know.
Yeah.
That's great. So maybe the picture wasn't done for public. Yeah, public emotion.
Well, I think it was, but I don't think it was supposed to be out there at all. I mean, not if they blocked it now and other people couldn't get access to it. They closed it up.
Well, you did have that clerical error, so.
Well, we have a lot of clerical errors, don't we? I mean, this clerical error has to be doing itself in Carroll County, right? I mean, the other errors that we had, think about it, was just the FBI that messed up. I mean, that's okay. I mean, they just lost film footage and, you know, things that could have really been very helpful.
It's not good around here, that's for sure.
No. And I know, Evil CJ, that I really respect and your stuff and thoughts and ideas on Keegan Klein, because you agree with me. So
because you agree with me
from the get-go. Yeah,
CJ, that's the only reason.
No.
With her.
No, actually, I think that's how we connected, because I will say that CJ and you know, there's a, you know, a lot of women on YouTube and stuff, and there's a lot of men and stuff on there, but CJ, at least for me, was one who really came in and started to see all of the CSAM cases that we talked about and covered, and the details with Keegan. And he very much, you know, just the first man who was just really upset and arguing and agreed with that stuff, and that there could be, you know, a connection in all of that, and some type of group who's doing something.
Yeah, it all just seemed really odd, because when I first started my show, I was covering some Delphi in the beginning, and when I started to get into it, and then because I was subscribed to a lot of the local TV stations in the state, and I noticed a lot of, you know, rings and groups, you know, all of a sudden getting busted left and right, and I'm just like, well, this shit, something is connected here. And I just like from the very beginning, I've always thought that he definitely had something to do with it, just with how everything went down after he was arrested. Then he, you know, obviously he was assisting, because then you noticed his counts were getting dropped and all of that. And so, and then all, you know, just different things just made sense if you kind of had your ear and eye out looking around for stuff. Maybe would have went by you if you weren't really paying attention. But yeah, I've always felt that he's been interested in a major way too, not just with that, but with a lot of the other stuff that's happened too.
Well, we've had so many, and we did a show. If you guys have not watched it, remember that Keegan Klein, they told him that he has opened the largest investigation of CSAM, and you can't ignore that comment. And that's why we did the show about, one, that Indiana was a source for 2 servers for an international child petty ring that reached other states, and you know, and in England, where this was started, which is why I suspect that even that yellow app could be involved in that, of what they were able to do and find people and do things on that, which we also covered. But we've covered all the guys in Indiana who have been busted for CSAM since then. and we're fixing to do another one. Actually, it's going to have to be another 2 because we have so many. And one is going to be more. And I'm going to tell you guys, some of them that are being busted, it is disturbing. And it takes me a while to do because, and Mama Bear and Kelt can account for it. The details we get are horrific. And for some reason, there is a trend in infant and toddlers that have been busted. And I can't say of something that makes you more sick to your stomach than hearing about those types of things. And I'm not saying they kind of get caught with a little or a few or a couple. I'm talking guys with hundreds and hundreds of them. And we are going to cover all of those that have been busted. Some of them have connected. Some of them who they have got girls out of Indiana, and they target for some reason also girls in Indiana. And, you know, I'm going to warn you again, we got a lot coming out of Kokomo again in that area. And Kokomo is so close to, obviously, Delphi in that area. Is that stuff that is being busted because of all the investigations? I could argue that fact could be true, you know, because they had a year before they told us they had Keegan. So,
yeah, that Kokomo stuff coming out is crazy, and great videos on those apps and stuff that you've done too.
Yeah, kids, it's really scary. My God, please don't let your kids have cell phones till they're old enough to manage it. That is scary. Our laws also do not cover. If you're 13 and under is the only part. So 13, 14, that's when it starts to open up. And that is the age of a lot of these girls, especially, and boys. Evil CJ and I talked about, briefly mentioned, we had a boy in Indiana who was kidnapped out of Tell City and taken to Kokomo, Indiana. They found him in Kokomo, Indiana, 14-year-old boy. So it is not just girls, everybody. It is girls and boys. They are trying to get him. They finally got him. The kid looked like he was very lethargic. Very, like, they didn't know if they didn't say whether he was drugged or not. He was taken to the hospital, but he had marks and stuff on his neck. And the guy arrested was charged for sex trafficking him. He didn't have him that long. He did not have him that long.
Excuse me, JSD, can you drop the link real quick, please? Jinx said she'll come up. Please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me drop it.
Grazie.
All right, Jinx, it's in there.
Jinx.
She
She's
said
awesome.
She's too Southern.
She's awesome.
Like, have you ever heard Paige? She's got too much.
I love Paige's voice. And anybody who doesn't know, I will let you, if you're not aware, we all met. Actually, you know what? I can say that about CJ now too. We all met because of the Delphi case. That my show with Justice Served Daily started because of the Delphi case. And, that's why our group originally got together, was because we followed that case on different channels and on different stuff and things like that. And then, then it was like, you know what, let's go ahead and start it and do stuff, because nobody was really covering the CSAM part of it, and nobody was covering about the yellow app. And that was the reason that we got started. But that's also how CJ came in, because he came in when we were doing a Delphi thing. So that's how we met him as well. Plus, he was our first winner. Yes. Well, I don't even remember what number we were trying to reach. What was that? Like 250?
I think it was like 100 or something.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was small.
CJ was the original 100 winner. So that's how I get you to come on the show. I bribe you with prizes. Which, by the way, we are still doing. When we reach 500, we're giving away another 6-month subscription to Discovery Plus. Have you enjoyed that, Evil CJ, by the way?
I have not. I don't even get to watch movies most of the time.
Oh my God.
Just because I'm busy always, well, now that I'm not working overtime, it'd be a little different. But before, it was like I had about 15 minutes of free time each night. That's about it. So
yeah.
Hello.
Congrats.
Hello, Jinx.
Hey, how are y'all?
Oh,
Good.
Good.
Oh,
Jinx, can I tell you something? Now
Absolutely.
I have relatives in Birmingham, right? My mother had from Birmingham. So
Oh,
when you start, I'm going to start sounding it, and it's not disrespectful. That's exactly what I did.
no, 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 no. It happens. I get
Right?
it.
It
There's
automatically,
sometimes.
my twang is going to come out. My southern twang.
That's funny.
It's
No, that's
addictive.
all right. I don't mind it. I enjoy hearing it.
Aw.
So what are your thoughts, Jinx?
You know, honestly, just to touch back kind of on like the whole Liggett issue, I really am affirmative on my belief that the whole reason that Liggett doesn't want him to be moved is for the sheer fact that it's not just responsibility, but it's because it's going to impact his money at the end of the year. You know, if you look at the sheriff's budget, you guys, and I mean, there's plenty of people that can contest to this, that the less that the sheriffs have to spend on their inmates at the end of the year, whatever's left over in that budget, well, that just goes out to them and they can delegate it however they want. You know, like look into the sheriffs and their budgeting and who actually, you know, kind of oversees that, not basically nobody.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think the biggest thing is that they're worried that, you know, if he does get moved, well, that's money that they're going to have to spend that they don't want to.
I agree with you. And
that's a
plus,
good
I
point.
also don't think I don't think they want to have the defense team telling them to say what to do.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that they want the defense team in there, period, you know, and giving them any kind of what for of anyway, because I guarantee that, you know, Goodwin, that's the other one, right? I know Rossi. Now, yeah, this is how small Carroll County is, okay? So Aki, you know, who was a prosecutor as well for Carroll County, he actually worked with Rossi prior. You know, they worked under the same firm together.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, like, the overlapping is just outlandish, and the nepotism in this county is outlandish. Like, it'll blow y'all's minds.
Well, Jinx,
Everybody knows everybody.
And you know what, Jinx? And here's the only thing that's I guess from knowledge being here is why I can say that for me, it's awful interesting if they decide to move to Cass County, because if they move to Cass County, which is the Logansport area, again, very small, guess what? You've got a huge Klein connection. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
That is where, if you don't know, everybody, that is where Tony Klein, which is Keegan Klein's dad, aka
right, in Peru. Yes, in Peru.
His parents lived originally in Logansport and got married in Logansport.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
They moved from Logansport over to Peru.
Right.
That's why they have Peru. But they went and they go to Logansport all the time, which also happens to be where a famous strip club that they all like to go to together.
Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. Where, well, you know, the Kegenstein is there, and that's where Keegan got his name.
Right. From the bar. And
yes.
And remember, if you're not aware, that judge, there's a crooked judge who was busted, and that judge used to hang out at that same strip club.
Mr. Faust. Yes, Mr. Faust.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When we were doing all that research, I was like shaking my head.
Girl, I'm telling you, I know. Like you side eye, and then the eyebrow gets going, and then you got to put it back down from your hairline. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? I did
my eyebrows, y'all. Oh God.
When this case first started, I did the chart of the family, right, of the Kleins, all the way down, just to track.
Yeah.
I'm serious. What was it like? I can't remember the year now. I don't want to say the wrong year, but it was early placement of the Kleins in Indiana. Period. Big time originated from there, and I tracked where all the family members and stuff live, and all those communities that Keegan Klein got busted for, that there were girls that he was talking to that was on his CSAM that they did catch, are communities where he has family members.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, and you know, if you think about it too, I mean, I don't know if y'all are like, if you've actually mapped and looked at the area, like, I mean, Logansport to Delphi to Flora to Camden, these places are just a hop, skip, and a jumping away. These are
Right.
rural areas.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to travel 20, 30 minutes to get somewhere, that ain't shit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, people.
Right.
Yeah, we've done that where we've shown just the map and
Mhm.
stuff from there. I mean, just at the beginning when you look at like Peru and Delphi, it's like, well, have they ever been to Delphi? Well, shit, yeah, you'd have to drive to Delphi to get other places.
Exactly. You got to go through there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
No, they
and
probably-
I honestly believe, and I know CJ's, and I appreciate that because I think from a male perspective, I appreciate it a lot that CJ talks about and agrees with the CSAM. And
Absolutely, yeah.
Because here's the thing. Yes, of course, they did not make a plea agreement with Keegan with a CSAM. That doesn't mean crap, everybody. The federal people can still make a case about it going out of state, about sharing it in the Dropbox. That's why it wasn't mentioned yet.
Yes.
And of course they don't have anything about that. He's going to have to make separate arrangements and a separate plea deal of any involvement he has with the Delphi murders. And I think he tried to start cooperating, and that's why that damn river was searched. Again, I will eat my fedora.
Oh, girl, I'm right there with you. I'll help you eat it because I guarantee it. You know what I'm saying? Like, once the river search was done, then what do you know? Keegan got charges dropped and Richard Allen got arrested. Look at the timeline.
Yep.
And here's another thing. The CSAM charges aren't on Richard Allen at all.
Right.
Which makes me wonder if, makes me feel like a little bit more confident that there's obviously somebody else involved and that maybe that's where some of those CSAM charges are going to land,
Well, and you know what? I'm sorry, CJ, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that right after Richard Allen was arrested, there was a sex ring in southern Indianapolis that was busted, a 20-person sex ring.
Right.
Exactly.
The next day after Richard Allen got arrested.
And you know what,
Yep.
CJ, they've done 3 of those in that county. 3 of those in Johnson County. And they have busted almost 20 guys every time. It's like horrific.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is
Like
horrific.
ants at a picnic.
I'm going to tell you some of
Man,
the
I'm telling you.
recent guys that have been busted. We cover all of them, but I'll tell you the reason I do it is because one time we did one of the shows and somebody here saw somebody that they knew and they did not know that he was arrested for it. And she took a screenshot of it and had to tell her family because her dad was friends with that guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so for me, that means to me that doing the CSAM coverage means something because we're trying to help save other victims from getting hurt by somebody.
Yep.
That's what I think too.
100.
So, yeah. And I think we're going to learn, once they do the agreement and stuff for him. Here's the thing we don't know. What was the other discovery information that they dropped? What else did they find at Richard Allen's house? Now, Richard Allen did have 5 damn years to hide stuff, people. He had 5 damn years to do it.
Exactly. And God knows what he did with the things
Mhm.
that we don't know where it is.
I know. I mean, look at Keegan. Klein's an idiot, and he deleted the one phone. I mean, for God's sakes. So, but what did he not get rid of?
Tell us your opinion.
Sorry, I just found this. Sorry.
Oops.
Right?
Oh, shuckies.
I just found it. Whoa.
Here's the thing. Here's
It's
the
the only
thing.
phone I swiped.
Right. Exactly. Oh, that just kills me. I mean, if we would have had the pictures at the gas station, right? If we would have had Keegan Klein's phone, I bet you we would have this case solved. That one phone, I think we would have known what happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's the thing too, is just because he deleted it doesn't mean that data isn't still out there and isn't able to be retrievable. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And they took all his devices, they took all his electric stuff if he still bothered to cover it. But we have, to think. I don't believe, for instance, I don't think he kept the same jacket and the same boots, even though they found him. I think he would have replaced them. He has to be smart enough he replaced it. But the one thing I know he didn't replace was he did not replace that car.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is the muddy and bloody person, when you get in that car, there would be DNA.
Right.
Yep. CJ said you cannot clean everything in a car, right, CJ?
Oh yeah, especially blood. I mean, you're talking. You would literally have to take that vehicle apart to clean it, and have some really badass chemicals. And besides that, it's going to obviously look like it was deep cleaned. So there's, yeah, it's
I mean, even if they gave that car a bath from top to bottom and just soaked
Right.
it in bleach, you're going to be able to tell that there's
Yeah.
evidence of a cover up.
Right.
And if there's a
Exactly.
chemical that can get it out, it's gonna alter the
Interior.
There's an echo. Yeah, it's gonna alter the
Yeah, I think somebody
interior
has a
in some way.
TV on or something. I hear some background.
My bad.
Mine was my. You couldn't tell me the whole show. I had the fan going.
I know. I tell turn off your fan, Mama Bear.
So,
Open the door of your she shed, and that'll help you breathe.
Or she said.
I am
That's where
in
she
my
goes to
she
smoke.
shed. Hey.
I gave away her secret.
Thanks, guys.
That's her smoke
Boy.
shed.
Kel, that's what you need. You need a smoke
Hey.
shed.
Little puffs of.
Just wait.
You open the door, it's like.
Clear. I am smoking cigarettes.
Some Cheech and Chong going on, huh? I don't mind. Share. Little puff, puff, pow.
Okay, speaking of that matter, I'm going to bring up something we've talked to in the background. I know this is not related to Delphi, but I'm going to say
Here we go.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
marijuana now stinks like hell. It smells like skunk ass to me.
Which way you gotta do the cartridges, dude? Don't smoke the bud. Do
No,
the
I'm for
cartridges.
real. I'm so for real. Like, okay, so you walk around, and I walk around a bunch of times like an idiot thinking, man, who ran over a skunk? Yeah.
Dude, if you go to California, we went to Mission Beach. You couldn't. It just reeked in Mission Beach. This reeked of weed so bad, and it's actually kind of annoying smelling that everywhere, especially when you have kids walking with you. You know.
But you
So-
smell like a damn skunk. It's horrible.
Yeah. They have some good
What
tasting ones
happened?
though. They got some that taste like watermelon and stuff.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Very
It must
body
taste
spray
good
with
for
yourself.
everybody to walk around smelling like a skunk. But I
Yeah,
would,
it's bad.
catch me every time. I always think I ran over a damn skunk. And
I
then
got Blue Dream right now, and I'm
And I
very
see-
happy about that.
I see puffing going on.
Dude,
I mean,
try
it's not-
watermelon Skittles.
It's not
Yes.
like the weed of the 80s
I
that
like
you would
that one.
smell in the concerts, right? I mean, the weed of the 80s, you just kind of.
Oh, that's like ditchweed. That's
You know what
what
I
you
mean?
call that. It's ditchweed, all right?
That's just regular stuff. There was nothing.
Right.
I mean, you could sniff it bad. I'm a short girl, so if I put my head up in the concert because everybody's taller than me, the circle of smoke would be right above me, just right above, floating above me while I was at them.
See, I'm 4'11", so I get it, and I love it. I'm just putting my nose up in the air, taking big old breaths.
Sticks and seeds.
Jinx doesn't
what
have
sucks
to
though?
buy.
I know, I'm like hopping up in the clouds. Give it to me. Come on, blow down this way. I don't mind.
I just have to I just had to share that because I shared that with Mama Bear and Kelton Page, and I was like, I don't know what up with this skunk smelling weed. But it smells like shit. Why would you smoke the one that does that? Then before, somebody walk by and you go, oh, they smell like weed. And now they walk by and it's like, oh, and it's horrible because I'll be near my family and they'll be like, they're like, oh, so embarrassed because I forget it. And I'm like, oh my God, I smell a skunk. And it's because this guy walked by me, right? And not trying to be rude to him, but all of a sudden I had that skunk smell that hit me. And I'm like, oh my God, that is
Tomato
horrible.
juice.
Doesn't smell
just-
like
Tomato
weed.
juice.
You just have everybody, just to let everybody know, she's used to going to Disneyland and Disney
Oh
World.
my God.
Hey, hey.
Not you-
Happiest place on earth.
Hey,
First of all,
Not-
it was
hey.
Disney World.
Not your
Disney
local
World.
amusement park where they serve corn dogs.
Hey, CJ,
no,
doesn't
see-
she have a whole room of Disney stuff, CJ? Like a whole
No.
room.
I gave him a tour of my
Who?
house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have a whole
Just
bunch of
like
Disney
it.
stuff. Huh?
I
Nice.
collect Disney. I have collected.
Wow.
I
I
even have
live in Florida.
I even
and
have
she's got more
antique
than me.
Disney toys from the
Wow.
You know what's
1990s.
funny?
Wow.
CJ's acting
Really?
like he. Hey, Justice,
awesome.
CJ's acting like he doesn't remember that happened on his show, dude. It was like
What?
a whole conversation about, oh, you're so cute.
What happened?
It's kind of like
You
saying,
did this on a
it's
show?
like saying,
You
"Oh, you're
That's
so
why he
pretty."
doesn't let us up on panel anymore. CJ's like, no.
did. I didn't know that you had what you said on my show that you
Justice.
had.
Yeah, Justice got all pissy with me because she thought I was slamming on Disney stuff. And then she got into
I
well,
remember
I got a
that.
whole room full of Disney. And I'm like, yeah, well, I got 500 of collector's pins. She's like, girl, that ain't nothing. I got all this stuff. It was. I
Oh,
thought she was going to leave me as a friend.
I remember that.
Oh my God.
I remember that. I remember that.
Justice, you and my Aunt Lisa would love each other because she collects all kinds of Disney. And I'm talking back in the day to Steamboat Willie, okay?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I've got tons
I'm
of that.
Oswald. I'm back to
Wow.
Oswald, baby.
I've got
Mhm.
yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff. I got all kinds of stuff and things, and yeah,
Okay,
I love
I'm
that stuff.
oldest
And
on
by
the
the way,
panel.
CJ, just to correct you, it was it's Disney World. Disney World. I mean,
I
I've been to
don't see.
land. I went to
I don't know
Disney
which
World.
is which. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
how much I don't know.
Disney
Florida
World is
is
Florida.
World.
Land is
Okay.
Cali.
So,
California.
so
Land is
everybody,
Cali.
poor
Yeah.
CJ has never been to Disney World. So we
No.
need you to go subscribe
Never.
to his channel and make a donation to his Cap app. He doesn't have a PayPal. He doesn't
We
listen
could
to
do
me.
a
He doesn't do PayPal.
GoFundMe page for him.
And
Hey,
and
you said
and
about
go.
doing one for
We're
RA.
starting a GoFundMe CJ to Disney World. There you go. That's what'll be it. And then he can also go to Crime Con. There you go.
Crime Con.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we're all
definitely
going
want
to
to
go
go
to
to Crime
CrimeCon.
Con. Yeah, I definitely want to
CJ, you got to go,
CrimeCon.
dude. We're going.
We're
definitely
thinking
wanna
we're all
go.
going.
Party
Yeah,
at Mama
Mama Bear,
Bear's.
go.
Yeah,
Because
baby.
I'll end up driving, so I'll get the minivan. I'll get
There
the
you go.
minivan.
15
Well, you and
passengers.
JSD can drive.
No windows,
JS
Econoline.
JSD and
take
CJ
JSD
can
then?
drive.
There you go. We'll have
There you
Phantom
go.
and Pam andRay and Jinx. Hey,
I have
we got
Mickey
everybody.
nightmares.
I know. I just saw that Mickey Nightmares.
Oh, hell
Poor
no.
Pam.
That's
Oh, my
crazy.
Lord. Well, yep. I
It
love
would
it.
be kind of cool to have a Mickey nightmare, though.
I don't know. My old man and I are deadheads, so
Dude, I just had a Mickey Dade.
Oh, what?
She's cracking herself up. I don't know
What?
what's happening.
Mickey, what? I think I know what she said, but
I don't know. But I
is
think
this 18 plus?
she said we are always
God, I
18
feel-
plus over here. We are always
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
I
we're on
thought-
your show. I feel like we're on your show
I-
right now, honey.
I just heard Mickey in a 4-letter
I
word
had to-
dream or something. I'm like, what?
Kelton or smoke shed already.
And I know that would come
Yeah.
from hell.
oh
This
Lord.
show went downhill real quick.
Sorry, it's my fault. I brought up the skunk pot.
I
the
feel
skunk
like I
pot.
just came on and it just took a landslide. I feel like I should be sorry.
We'll blame it on Jinx.
It's my I mean, y'all know my name is Jinx for a reason, though, right?
All right, tell us the story.
Oh gosh, go ahead.
I was born on a Friday the 13th under a full moon.
Oh,
Under a
nice.
full moon too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah. If I told you the year, you could look it up. But I swear, just take my word for it. It was a full moon and all.
oh boy. Were
Wow.
you dancing under the full moon too?
I mean, who knows? I might have popped right out and done a jig. Who knows?
Right.
It's a hot mess over here, darling. I assure you.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Jinx, Jinx.
CJ, you can back me up there too. You killed. I know you heard,
yeah.
and Justice, you've heard a couple.
Mm.
So yeah.
That's why it's a blast.
I
having
haven't
you
been
on.
over much lately, Jinx. I'm sorry. I've been really sick, honestly. So
Oh, you got to check out Mama Bear. Check out the episodes that we did the Flora Fire stuff with her on there. She's very
yeah.
knowledgeable.
I'll go
Yeah,
back. and look
Mama
at
Bear, I told
Very
her I
knowledgeable.
need to show Jinx my chart of all connections. Remember
Oh,
when we went through all
yes.
that Carroll County stuff and we
Oh.
connected all the family members together?
I
It
swear.
looks like
I
a
want one of
spider
those
web. I
boards.
know.
Exactly. I want
Oh,
a
I
board
know.
in my she shed here with tax and to whom. And I mean,
you know what? I don't know about
yeah.
you guys, but we had a conversation once. And if somebody, okay, first of all, we all know that there are going to be shows made about the Delphi murders, right? There's going to be somebody's going to make something. And if you wrote this case down, there are so many twists and turns and small town connection and CSAM and whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's nuts.
It's a roller coaster.
It's another world, really.
Yeah.
Up and
really
down
is.
and loops and loops.
Yeah, it's its own.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys, what shows and stuff you guys watch, but they have that, what is it called? It's like Crimes of the Heartland. They do stuff that's like all kind of like Midwest murders and stuff like that. And when you find them, it always starts with this little town and here it is. And it's only got this population. And I'm like, well, shit, that town's bigger than Delphi. I mean, it's, you're like, wow, this is like one of those stories. And it's scary. And it's scary because of all the CSAM and what the connection is. And I guess for me, I don't want to lose that point, because if that's how whoever did it got to these girls, it is a lesson for our kids. And it's a lesson that parents need to pay attention to, that this is how they are using it to get to your kids. So, got to watch it.
Yeah, parents just need to be more informed, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from, because, now, especially with the way the economy is now, it's going to draw parents to be away from their children even more, just to be able to provide a roof over their head. And with these parents, and it's no fault of their own, because, it's a different time period, so it's hard to keep up with all the fast moving technology and everything that's coming out. But the technology is so available, and it's because parents don't understand it. And if they knew, I think they would be able to stop it before these things take place. You could be talking to a parent of a 10-year-old, and he's all excited because he got his kid Grand Theft Auto, not knowing that you can actually really go to a freaking strip club in the game, And it's stuff like that. They think that it's just the information's not being supplied to them in a way that is easy to get at or understand, I suppose.
Well, and it's not just that too. Kids are clever, so you got to be 2 steps ahead of them. You don't always got to have the information to know about, what all's out there on the internet and what can get to them. But these little shits, if you try to block it, my nephew is a clever little shit. And he actually figured out who of his neighbors didn't have Wi-Fi passwords. So he would just go kind of in the vicinity of their yard and bounce off their Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, when my sister figured this out, she tanned his hide up one side and down the other. And I just told him, I said, well, you got caught. You got what you deserved,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and that's the thing. The kids think of it, it's just a social thing. And obviously it got really bad. The increase of the thousands when everybody had COVID and they had no way to communicate except through this social media, right? And it built up. And the people targeting them know how to target them. These kids think they're talking to other kids. They're not doing something wrong that they think they're talking to these adults. That's the new trend. It's not the guy driving down the street anymore, picking up a kid off the bike. Not that doesn't happen, but now they don't have to. They communicate to your kids like they're another kid, and they say, hey, let's meet up. And then they go out, and this kid's suddenly surprised because it's a grown man.
Yep.
I wish they had a parents newsletter or something that just got sent out to parents. Hey, check out this yellow app,
Yeah.
Right.
During COVID, they out here, probably everywhere, they put the kids online for school, and they had to download certain apps. They had to have certain this and that. Well, now when I'm working in a school, I have kids on computers. Their assignments are on computers. Oh, miss, we don't have our computer. I got to use my phone. So now there's no way for us as parents or teachers to always know what they're doing. And the schools have it set up that they're online all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's even harder to track them because they can look at you and go, I'm doing my homework. And then they open up another, when you, as soon as you walk away, there's another screen they open up and they're doing something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made it harder on us.
And that's why these guys turn around and they try to get the kids to switch over to, you know, a Snapchat or something that's going, or a Kick, because they know it's going to delete. They want the history to be deleted. They want the picture to be deleted. They take screenshots of what your kids send. And then suddenly they're being threatened to send more. So that the big thing that they've had pushed by the FBI is sextortion that is happening with kids. And the huge increase right now is that it's happening with boys, because the guys are pretending they're teenage girls and they're going back and forth and flirting. I'm just going to say, thank God this shit didn't exist when I was a kid. Right? Because, you know, you sit there and say, I mean, think about, you warn your kid, don't argue with somebody on social media. You would think the worst thing you worried about, and I know for me it was your kid getting bullied, right? Like somebody bullying the kid online. That's the thing you thought was the worst if it could happen. And then you find out this type of predators trying to get to your kids. And that's what they did to Libby and them. They got in the network of those friends and then was trying to communicate to get her. And I've always wondered, what was the end game of that meetup? Was it for a kidnapping? And whoops, Abby was there too. Was it for the essay that was going to happen? They thought they were going to just do that in the middle of the day, right? Like in the park in the middle of the day. You know, what was the end game of that? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much that we don't know. You know, we haven't seen the discovery. We're not privy to that as the public, which I understand it's part of the case and it's not done and over with yet. So it's hard to kind of say one way or another on, you know, guilt or innocence, but there's so much that we don't know and that's still up in limbo. So it's hard for me to be like vocal about, well, yes, this person did this, and or no, this person didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't put the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Right.
Well, wasn't Garrett Kurtz friends with the Logans?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
and Garrett used to go to the strip club in Logansport.
Yes.
Okay.
Kurtz's daddy was
he was into. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm just I know a lot of people don't, and I'm not saying Logan's involved, but he might not even known, but I'm sure other people knew of the property, and other people knew of structures on the property where he might not have even known anybody. Yeah.
What?
Dig this. CJ, I'm listening to you. And I've always wondered, why did RA go through with it when he knew he was seen? He knew, if he didn't know about the lady seeing him when he was on the bridge, he definitely knew he passed those girls.
Right.
And then he's dumb enough to walk muddy and bloody down a road. Here's the thing. Why did he go through with it? He's not that dumb, right? I don't think he's that dumb. He's the low man on the totem pole, dude. If there's a group of people, he's the low man.
Yeah,
well,
that's what I think.
He's not the lowest man. Keegan Klein is the lowest man. We can all agree to that one. We can all agree to that one, because I think he could have been just a setup guy or whatever. Who knows? But you're right. I agree with you, Kelp, because that's why I think the way they worded it with the kidnapping, and that the kidnapping was the one thing that led to the murder, right? That was the way that they worded it in the charges to him. And I think maybe he wasn't the intention, because for me, I feel like there really could be a second person there, because I don't think he carried a gun and a knife. I think that they could have started fighting and they were going to try to get away from the guys. And I think the second person had the knife. And
Yeah.
that's when he cut and started to kill somebody, then they had to go through with it, and he
Yeah,
had
no
to kill
turning
the
back.
second one.
He couldn't
Well, if you
wrap
think
his
about it
weapon.
too, you guys, I don't know if you've ever like really delved into like how some of these guys do like the CSAM. Like there's levels to it, you know,
I
like
know.
there'll
Yeah.
be one person who scouts, then there'll be one who marks, and then there'll be like one or two more steps further into getting, you know, like catching them, and then another person will do another step, you know, to further on the progress. So, you know, you got to think about it. It does make sense that there's either one or even two more people involved because of how like this actually does work if you actually look into CSAM cases.
Well, Jinx, you have to go watch our international trial thing. We go through the steps of the levels of those people who were caught
Right.
here in
You
Indiana,
know, like
and who
I know
wasn't
that
caught.
my sister was telling me, you know, that she had noticed a couple of times she was working over in Evansville, actually, CJ, and she noticed that somebody had taken like a zip tie and put it on her back passenger car, like handle, you know?
Yeah.
And she called me and she said, you know, I don't know what's going on. Somebody put it in. Somebody's been putting zip ties on my car. And I was like, oh, hell no. I told her all about it. I was like, look, that's like a clear indication that, you know, you're being like scouted out for possible like abductions, dude. Like, stop this shit, you know, like don't just sit there and let that shit go off. And I told her, I said, call the cops right now. I said, take that sucker off. Like, as soon as you see that shit, like, that is like an indicator that somebody is like, you know, stalking you for abduction. That's not even okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got to remember, the first time that Keegan Klein created that Anthony Shots was in July of that year, right? He created it that July. I'm sorry, July of the previous year. So when he created that, then he was starting to talk to Libby and them like in November, December. So that's when that kind of started. So that's the grooming cycle. It was
Right.
grooming. Let me meet all her friends.
Mhm.
Let me select who I'm going to get. I'm going to try to get as many images from each one of those girls. He was probably talking to all of them. Hell, those girls probably didn't even know that he was getting sweet with each one of them. You know what I mean? And you know, because they think, oh, I'm the only one. He likes me. He's this guy. And if you think that's a teenage boy who looks like that, oh my God.
Right.
They don't think they're talking to a grown man, you know, and it's so sad. And remember,
Oh, it's
they also
okay.
pretend they were girls. Remember Emily Ann,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
they had the other names that they used that were females to get them. I can't give up that Keegan Klein's involved in this case. And I'm hoping this year we will find out what happens. Maybe the defense team or prosecutors could have been like, let's put him in an awful place. And our plea thing could be, we will put you in a beautiful lower level prison if you tell us who else was there.
Right. Well, and that's another thing, you know, like, okay, yeah. So in Miami County, Keegan didn't take any plea deals. That's not to say in Carroll County, he isn't going to get offered a plea deal.
Right. Right.
It's two different counties.
They say that he didn't take a plea deal, and I get that. But guys, he had charges dropped and diminished earlier.
Right.
While the river was being searched. After the river was searched and after Richard Allen was arrested, it was announced of his charges. Watch our timeline video breaking of putting the puzzle pieces together. If you guys haven't seen it out there in chat. But if you go watch that and look at that timeline, you can't ignore what happens in that timeline. 5 charges dropped. You know, other charges lowered. Why?
I think they got lucky getting a slightly bigger fish than they had planned, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
He had a lot more than where they usually start out at. They
Yeah,
scary.
Mm-hmm.
He knows a lot.
May 18th we've got coming up, and then June. I think probably we'll hear Monday from either them moving them or just the sheriff speaking out. So,
Well, guys,
what's
I
the
hate to
bet?
go, but it's about
that's
supper
okay.
time in this house. So much
all right.
love to everybody.
Thank you
Thanks,
for bumping up,
Jinx.
Jinx. And I know
Thank you
you're
for
a
having
new
me on.
subscriber. We appreciate it. And we are going to have a lot more videos and stuff coming up, Jinx. So if you ever want to participate and jump up, let me know.
Hell yeah, y'all. Just let me know. And Mama Bear, I just love your laugh. I love it. I love your laugh.
Hey,
Just,
at least I didn't do my other one to
Oh, no.
Yeah.
CJ
Oh,
loves
God,
that.
no.
Yeah, I'll
CJ
bounce
loves
before
that.
that. I'll bounce before that.
I
What are you
won't
saying? You
do
want me to
it.
bounce? I'll bounce.
well, thank y'all again. I
All right,
appreciate
thanks,
it.
Jinx. All right.
Bye.
Catch you
Thanks,
later.
hon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'll go ahead and hop out myself too.
All right. So what time's your
Bye,
show
CJ.
going to be, CJ?
Yeah, what time's your show?
Probably
Right after this.
Well, no, I'm gonna eat myself, and then I'm gonna hop on after that. So whatever.
Wait a minute. Did he just say he's going to eat himself?
I'm gonna, have some supper myself. Yeah.
I couldn't help myself.
I don't even know what.
I was just looking at the clock and then trying to like plan everything in my head so I could come up with a good time. Probably 7 my time. Like
All
an
right.
hour.
Well,
hour.
I
look
would
again for the
suggest you
CJ.
not
Can we
do
drop
that,
a
though,
drop a
CJ.
link again in there? Go follow CJ. This little fun thing we get into is always this chill and happen at CJ's show. So I think he was the catalyst that helped us have this nice moment at the ending of this tragic case,
Yeah.
Lee. So
Yes.
thanks for
agreed.
coming up and doing
I
that for
appreciate
us,
that.
CJ.
Thanks,
Thank you.
CJ.
Thank you for having
See
me.
you soon,
All right.
hon.
We'll see you tonight.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, guys, I think it was a good show. We got at least caught up. I feel a little bit caught up on what's going on for you guys
Absolutely.
in this case, and we are working hard on a lot of stuff. There's so many things juggling in the air. Just did an update about the Deborah Fulton about info and what happened with the Freedom of Information Act request that went out there. Also, just to let you know, like I said, the CSAM is coming up. There are so many guys that have been busted. I mean, last time we covered 53, and we have more than that, guys, more than that arrested in Indiana. And I'm talking the number of images they've been found with is going to shock you. We also have another FBI operation that we are going to cover as a separate show that talks about that along with trafficking. And you may have heard about it because it was a national operation bust, and many, many kids were found that were missing. So we're going to be covering that. And then also we have a really cool one that we're going to cover that Kelt and Paige are leading up. We're going to be talking about Jane and John Doe's. And, really because of how much they're founding with the DNA and forensics with that, right, Kel?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking a deep dive into Orthram and what they can do now. I mean, Jane and John Doe's that we have been working on for decades and decades, trying to find leads on and double checking people who are missing versus people who are found. And suddenly Orthram comes along and they can do genetic grade DNA studies. And boom, we're getting people identified every week. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
What's really
it's
cool-
wonderful.
sorry.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And
Yeah.
what's really cool about what you guys are doing too, Cal, you and Paige on this, it's so cool that you're doing here, and then she's bringing in the UK and stuff. That is so cool to me. I'm
That's a
so
big point to
excited.
do. That was one thing that we wanted to try to pull because we shared with Paige. I'm sure we would all love to hear about the cases that are happening over in the UK.
Absolutely.
And part of what I was sharing earlier, we all met because of the Delphi. We are all across the country, and Paige is across the pond. So, it's really cool that this case is so important and how far Delphi has reached, really in the world when you think about all the people that listen to the case. So, thank you for letting us get silly there for a while. We sometimes need that break because a lot of these cases and a lot of the stuff we dig into are really, really deep. So we have a lot of info coming out. We got a lot of stuff we're working on and going to catch up on. So we'll get those out And, you know, I deal with my health too. So I try to get them out as best I can. But I miss you guys when I can't. So,
Well, we're happy to have you back, JSD. We missed you dearly.
Absolutely.
thank
And
you.
we're very
Thank
blessed
you.
that you're back with us. So
Thank you.
we love you.
And they always remind me,
Yep.
tell people to please subscribe and hit that like button. And we are going to do another drawing when we reach 500, and we are not that far away. Can you believe it? I mean, the months that we've been on, it's like, wow. So we
Amazing,
appreciate
honey.
that. And we appreciate you guys coming and caring about the cases and hearing about
Yes.
stuff and sharing your opinions with us. We love it. And we have
Thank
met
you all.
great people, great
Yes,
people.
we have. We're blessed.
So, all right. Well, ladies, I will let you go.
All
Thank
right.
you for
Thank
being up.
you. Good
Appreciate
night,
you.
Bye, guys.
everybody. Thanks so much. Bye.
Appreciate you, Mama Bear. And again, guys, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And we thank you for making sure justice is served daily. Goodbye, everybody.